2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the place where you're not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to a Wednesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. 855-212-4227. You can always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, X at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. Got Ryan Botcher, got Moist Mike, and we're rocking and rolling all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time. Steve Schirripa, the great actor who obviously was a big-time part in The Sopranos playing Bobby Bacala, he's going to stop by in studio at the top of the hour. Bart Winkler will stop on by as well at 4:40 p.m. Eastern, 1:40 p.m. Pacific today for Winkler Wednesday, and we got a whole lot more to do. We have to start the show on a somber note, and obviously when someone passes away, it's never an easy show to do, and when you had someone that is one of the greatest baseball players of all time in Willie Mays passing away that we found out last night at the age of 93, clearly it is upsetting, but you could also acknowledge and realize 93 years old is a heck of a run. You know, this is not a tragic death. This is not someone passing away at the age of like 40 or 50. I understand it is upsetting, but I tend to use today more so of a day to look back and remember the greatness of someone rather than sit here and say, hey, you know, it's a horrible day, it's a somber day, it's a sad day. And I think there's two different types of shows when someone passes away. And, you know, obviously it's not a happy day. You know, Willie Mays did pass away. And for a lot of people right? That's the standard of a baseball player. But I like to look back and remember the great life of Willie Mays. And you look at it from just a baseball standpoint. Like, if I got on the air and told you someone was a 24-time All-Star, hit 660 career home runs, batted to an average of 301, had 12 gold gloves, 4 times led the NL in stolen bases, was a 1954 batting champion, a World Series champion in 1994, a 2-time MVP, and a Rookie of the Year. And I could keep on going, and we'd probably run out of time if I just sat here and gave you the accolades of the now late, great Willie Mays. But it's almost like he didn't even exist. Like, when you hear those numbers, it's almost as if it's a mythological person, except you knew, right, in all of our lifetime, even though none of us saw Willie Mays actually play, unless if it's highlights and movies and things like that and documentaries, you almost wonder with how much reverence and respect and the way someone talks about someone, like, you wonder if that person was actually real. Like, that's the way that, when you just hear the name of Willie Mays, you get told all these great stories throughout the years. And obviously you were able to see him, even though he wasn't playing because he was still alive, like compared to Babe Ruth, who that to me is like the ultimate in my life, like mythological creature, just as of someone that you actually know that did exist, because Babe Ruth passed away at 53 years old in August of 48. And it's like you hear all these stories, you hear about the greatness, and you were never able to see him actually, in my lifetime, actually be living on this planet. And I say all that out of respect to a guy who had one of the more incredible baseball careers I'll ever see. Like, last night, why it is so emotional for so many is because there's so many people that baseball is like their first true love. And baseball, whether you played it in Little League or you went to the ballpark with your mom or your dad, baseball's the first live sporting event that most of us go to. And a lot of us, right, our earlier sports memories are all about baseball. So for the people I got to see Willie Mays play, it's just like one of your heroes passed away last night after an incredible run of 93 years on this earth. And for so many others too, what he meant for cultural impact and, the road that he had to travel, he laid the foundation for so many others that look like him to follow. And, I saw the tributes last night, and I saw what CC Sabathia posted, and it was definitely moving. And I just, could sit here for the next 3 hours, and we could talk about the greatness of Willie Mays. And I think that's the way that you do it on a day like today, because 93 years on this planet, and look at the impact that he made. And I understand how seriously we take our sports, but it's more than just baseball with Willie Mays, and it's one of the greatest careers that you'll ever see in the history of Major League Baseball. And you see the range that he had in the outfield, the quickness that he had on the base paths, how he could be a contact hitter and a power hitter. It's like the perfect baseball player. If you were designing a baseball player and you said, Zach, you get to design a baseball player and you get to take, 5 tools or 5 characteristics, you design Willie Mays. There's no other way around that. And you get told and passed down all of these stories and all of these great memories from people that were alive to see him play, or even afterward, just when they get passed down generation to generation. I don't like to use this word very freely in sports, but he was an icon. You can't just say Willie Mays was a great baseball player. Willie Mays was an icon. Willie Mays is an absolute legend. And he's someone that there's only positive things to say, and you could sit here and talk across many different, generations, and everyone, from what decade or whatnot they were born in could have a different memory, but you all know who Willie Mays is. And We'll go through some of the sound here in just a second, and we'll play back some of those memories for you. But last night, there's no doubt about it, when I'm sitting on my couch and I'm watching the Mets game, and I see on Twitter that Willie Mays passed away, even though he's 93 years old, right? And you never know how long someone's going to live, especially when you get up there in your 90s. And yes, it's a heck of a run and a life that is unbelievably lived. But it is startling, like, even when you hear it. It's like, wow, Willie Mays just died. And it's kind of unbelievable because when you're on that level of stardom and that level of fame, you're so invincible to us, like in the way that we view you, that yes, every life unfortunately does come to an end. But what a tremendously and outstanding life that Willie Mays did live. And once again, if you are kind of modeling the ideal and perfect baseball player, it's Willie Mays. And I don't care what happens in the rest of Major League Baseball. There's not going to be many better than the Say Hey Kid in Willie Mays. And we send our condolences to his family and all of the people that knew him or rooted for him or were fans of him as he did pass away last night at the age of 93. This is Dave Fleming, the Giants play-by-play guy on KNBR. He announced to his audience on the unfortunate news last night that Willie Mays did pass away.
I'm having a hard time saying the words, but we found out just a little while ago, and the Giants have now made an announcement. Here's a ground ball to second. Estrada throws out Pete Crow Armstrong, the all-time greatest Giant. Number 24, Willie Mays, has passed away today at the age of 93. And right as we get ready to head to his hometown and honor the great Willie Mays, we have to say goodbye. So we'll step aside here for a moment and come back, and the ball game will continue. And obviously we're going to talk a lot more about Willie tonight and over the next many, many days. I hate to be the one to have to pass that news along, but Willie Mays today has died at the age of 93.
And you read, and if you didn't know, this is via MLB.com. The center of baseball universe this week is Birmingham, Alabama, where Major League Baseball is paying tribute to the Negro Leagues with a series of games at Rickwood Field, the oldest ballpark in the United States and the site of the final Negro League World Series in October of 1948. It is the place where Willie Mays is from, and the ballpark where he began his storied career in professional baseball as a 17-year-old with the Birmingham Black Barons that same year. Willie Mays actually released a statement a few days ago where he said, "I'm not able to get to Birmingham this year, but we'll follow the game back here in the Bay Area." Mays said in a statement to the paper on Monday, "My heart will be with all of you who are honoring the Negro League ball players who should always be remembered, including all my teammates on the Black Barons. I wanted to thank Major League Baseball, the Giants, the Cardinals, and all the fans who will be at Rickwood or watching the game. It will be a special day, and I hope the kids will enjoy it and be inspired by it." And obviously, this was already going to honor Willie Mays before we found out that he passed away. But it is fitting that this is going to happen tomorrow. And obviously, it will be a day of sadness, remembrance, and also celebration to celebrate the great life of Willie Mays. We all know there's singular plays in sports that it doesn't matter how old, how young you are. And even when, I'm long gone, they'll keep on talking about them. And you go to game one of the World Series in 54 when Willie Mays had the most iconic catch in the history of baseball, right? It's something that I wasn't even a thought back then. None of us were. And how many times have we seen this throughout life? I was watching a sports science on it that aired years ago. He ran 90 feet to track down this baseball at more than 14 miles per hour. Think about that. And he was able to make this great catch that obviously none of us will never forget.
There's a long drive way back in center field, way back, it is. Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
So obviously when you see that, you know what that moment did mean in his one World Series victory back in 1954, and that was in the first game of that series. And then, Samter brings up a good point, and we all know another iconic moment in baseball history is the shot heard around the world, and that's when the Giants win the pennant, the Giants win the pennant, the Giants win the pennant. Willie Mays was actually on deck as Rob Thompson hit that home run, and Bobby Thompson hit that home run, and we all, always have been told through time off Ralph Branca about that big home run, and it's something that just gets played over and over and over and over and over again. And Willie Mays was on deck, and here was him describing the Bobby Thompson home run.
It's a 3-game playoff. Bobby just hit a home run off of Branca, and Brooklyn did probably the day before. And I'm saying to myself, they're going to walk Bobby in to get to me. I wasn't nervous. I didn't get nervous, anything like that. I was always kind of cool. So I wanted to go to the plate right quick.
One out, last of the ninth. Branca throws. There's a left back. I the lead. The Giants take a pennant.
When Bobby hit the home run, I was the last guy to get to home plate. And I'm saying to myself, you're on deck, fool. Get up to the plate right away. And so nobody can see you, but somebody caught it. And I was 24 coming up. And when everybody else was there shouting, and I was the last guy. So I think I was a little nervous,
How about that? Yeah, I think I was a little nervous. Because you always try to play that down, and then you see the video. He's on deck, and how he was on the outside of the huddle right at the plate because of how locked in he was, preparing for that moment of him potentially getting up to bat next. Now, Samter, Willie Mays, I want to play this because, to me, when I was living, in my life, I should say, excuse me, the two people, even though I never saw Willie Mays play, that I think just signify baseball to me are Willie Mays and Vin Scully, the legends of legends. This video from 2016, that's the first time they actually met? Is that right, Samter?
I mean, according to this video, yeah.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
I saw that last night. I couldn't believe I'm like, maybe the date was just posted, but it says it's from 2016, and then you see the video, and you obviously know it's not Vin Scully when he was younger, and it's not Willie Mays when he was younger, so I guess somehow that's true.
And you think about it, too. It's not like it was, Vin Scully called games for the Cubs or for a team in Texas.
Oh, the Dodgers.
These were two teams. Well, these were two teams that started out in New York and moved to California, so the trajectory of these two teams, the Dodgers and the Giants, were so similar. And to have the legendary announcer of the Dodgers and the iconic outfielder for the Giants never, ever meeting or crossing paths in their decades around the sport is just unfathomable to me.
Yeah, it really is surreal. But here's an excerpt from that meeting of Willie Mays and Vin Scully, I believe, in 2016.
Buck, Vin Scully. I know. So many people. Come on over here, just so we can. Let me tell you something. First of all, you've always been my favorite player, even though you wore the wrong uniform. You know that. But as I have told everybody, you've also been the greatest player I ever saw.
Thank you.
And I've said that for a long, long time. That ball that you caught that Vic Wirtz hit in the World Series, that was probably 440 at least. That's how far out that was.
I tell everybody it's not the catch so much, it's the continuation.
Yeah, getting the ball back.
Getting the ball back into the infield.
So that was just some of the conversation between Willie Mays and Vin Scully back in 2016. Still surreal that was the first time they actually met. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network as we remember the life of Willie Mays, who passed away yesterday at the age of 93. I'm just wondering, let's go around the room here, and this is how we'll tie up this open. Who's one athlete that you wish you could have watched live? You could have been around focusing on sport when they were at their peak. And for me, it's the greatest, Muhammad Ali, right? Boxing in my lifetime has never been the thing like it used to be. In my lifetime, we had that obsession about the Floyd Mayweather-Manny Pacquiao fight and how many years Floyd tried to avoid Manny Pacquiao with the testing and all that stuff. And then when it actually happened, it was way past when it should have happened, and it was a letdown. Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury was awesome. Probably some of my best boxing memories of my lifetime. but you just hear about boxing back in the day and the importance, and then Muhammad Ali. Like, do I need to say anything more? No, I don't, because just like Willie Mays, he's just one of those names that will just continue even way after he's been gone to just live in the annals of greatness in sports history. So my answer there is Muhammad Ali. Samter, who is yours? Just wondering.
I mean, I'm not going to be original in any way, shape, or form.
And you're also a lot older than all of us.
Yeah, I'm an old fart.
Yeah.
It's Babe Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a guy who in 1920 hit 54 home runs, more than any other team in the sport of baseball. He hit 54 home runs, more than any other team in the entire league. Babe Ruth was a man among boys. And we talk about the steroid era. He had the hot dog era. Yeah. This was not a guy who took care of his body. He's not putting millions of dollars into his body like LeBron James was.
Drug was like a hot dog with mustard on it.
Yeah, I mean, he would drink beers, he would eat hot dogs, and he would just go out there. He was just the most purely natural. And the fact that he was an all-star caliber pitcher with the Red Sox before he went to the Yankees, there's so much lore around Babe Ruth. His pitching, his hitting, his titles, his home runs, the pointing at Wrigley Field, pointing to the bleachers and
he's
hitting
actually
that home
requesting
run.
a hot dog in that, people say.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, there's so much about Babe Ruth, and the craziest thing is, if you break it down, he won MVP one time. He is a one-time MVP with all of the legend, with all of the, historic everything about Babe Ruth. He won MVP one time.
Here's a trivia question. I think you'll know this. So sorry if I'm putting you on the spot. When the Yankees got him from the Red Sox, Harry Frazee was the owner of the Red Sox. You remember the play, why he needed the money? Do you remember what the play was called?
When you say it, I'm going to hit myself because I know it. What was it?
No, net.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, just my random trivia fact.
No, great trivia question. The Willie Mays being on deck of the Bobby Thompson home run was always one of my go-to
great
trivia questions. And then my dad one-upped me was who was the pitcher, and now I forever know Ralph Branca. Ralph Branca.
Yeah. Anyway, the one more thing that I just want to say, like you say Babe Ruth, it's almost like he wasn't even real. Like I said that with Willie Mays. Like obviously we got to see Willie Mays. They honor him all the time, and they used to do that because he lived up until yesterday to the age of 93. With how early Babe Ruth passed away, and you hear all these stories still passed down, you're like, was this even like a real person? Even though, right, there's obviously video and things along those lines. So that's I think the highest honor you can give someone in sports when the resume is so impressive that you just think they're like a mythological human being and creature. Botcher, who's yours?
Wayne Gretzky, actually.
Yeah.
So I was 3 years removed from when he retired. So I wish I could see him just because how he's mythologically like the greatest person ever. Like you said, more assists than points anybody else has. And I kind of doubt how great someone can be like that when they double up everyone else. So I would have to see it for myself in person.
Why, you don't believe that he's that great?
Well, I believe he's great because you see the numbers, but you don't actually believe it until you see it live. And
honestly, like the only other people you could put in that consideration, like I got to see the tail end of Jordan, but like Michael Jordan too is obviously another one. But I think the three that we just gave, obviously Botcher be a little bit younger, Wayne Gretzky, yours truly Muhammad Ali, and Samter with Babe Ruth. It's kind of tough to top that. If you want to get into soccer, Samter, I think you'll be proud of me, like Pele. You weren't expecting that one from me.
I was not. Secretariat.
I would have loved to interview Secretariat, okay? But anyway, we'll take a time out. Who's an athlete you wish you could have watched live is the question today as we honor Willie Mays, who passed away at the age of 93 yesterday. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. It is the Zach Gelb Show. When we come on back, Monty Williams fired by the Pistons. Should J.J. Redick be worried that he's not going to get the Lakers job? We'll discuss next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
Alrighty, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network as we honor the life of Willie Mays, who's an athlete you would have wished to have loved to see play live, and you were around to see them play live. That's the question, 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. Botcher did go with Wayne Gretzky. My answer was Muhammad Ali, and then you had Santer give Babe Ruth, which I think that was between Babe Ruth or Muhammad Ali. And I said, you know what? Let me give Santer Babe Ruth, I'll take Muhammad Ali. That's the way that I kind of
Yeah,
put on that one.
you're a Met fan. You can't go with Babe Ruth.
Why not? I respect greatness.
Why not?
I don't live in this like petulant society that the rest of you dopey sports fans do, where it's like, oh, just because you root for one team, you can't acknowledge the greatness of another player. I think that's I'm a petty man, but I think that's like the definition of just being way too petty for my liking. Let's go to Mike in California. Is this chef lawyer, Mike?
No.
That's disappointing. I was wondering how your food was last week. But anyway, who do you got for me, Mike?
So, I mean, the easy answer was Babe Ruth or Mickey Mantle, something like that. But I would say I grew up in the Hulk Hogan era, and Bruno Sammartino is somebody I wish I had lived through.
Let me tell you, Mike, I'm not an old man, but I've been doing this long enough. When I came up with this question today, I never thought someone was going to bring up Bruno and bring up a wrestler. I was just not thinking that. I thought we were going to get a lot of Babe Ruth and, Muhammad Ali, and depending on how old you are, Wayne Gretzky. I was not thinking there. So that's a good creative one, no doubt about it.
Yeah, well, he was champion 8 years, so, I mean, we'll never see anything like that again.
Well, Mike, appreciate the phone call. Thanks so much. Patty Boyle is here. Let me ask Pat Boyle. I'll put him on the spot here. In honor of Willie Mays, as he did pass away yesterday, as we know, at the age of 93, who is an athlete you would have loved to have seen really document his entire career, and you could watch his entire career during your lifetime?
So I was going to say, watch in person or just be around?
In person. Yeah.
Well, I would say,
does that change the answer? Just an athlete you would have loved to wish you could have been around for their career.
I would say in person to watch Barry Bonds, but be around.
Wait.
Well, I was around during the end.
I was going to say.
I was around during the end.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, so you're putting me on the spot. Somebody who I didn't watch. Ooh.
It's not that tough here.
I mean,
you
it
really
is
don't
tough.
have an answer?
There's a lot of...
my answer is Muhammad Ali. Santa said Babe Ruth. Botcher said Wayne Gretzky.
I'm going, and again, very young.
You're going to go tennis. I know you're going to go tennis.
Very, very young. So it wasn't like I was around.
Yeah.
Jordan.
Yeah. No, it's
Prime Jordan. Mm-hmm. I don't think there was anything that could
Who would be your tennis
that.
player in the annals of tennis history?
Johnny McEnroe.
Okay.
The bad boy of tennis.
I think you're kind of similar to McEnroe, if I'm going to be honest. You
yeah,
guys both have a temper?
Yes. Not in skill, but yes, in temper.
By the way, I didn't know this. Bill Ryder claims to be a great tennis player. I'm not doubting Bill.
Claims.
Tennis is a rich man's sport, and Bill is definitely very loaded. There's no doubt about it. He definitely has a lot of dinero if you went into his wallet or if you hacked into his bank account. Saw his bank account. But you also are a big lover of tennis. I didn't know. Do you play tennis?
Yeah.
Did you play like in high school, college?
No, I only started playing during COVID.
But you played college, what, baseball?
Correct.
Okay. Where'd you play college baseball?
At Drew, Division III in New Jersey.
Oh, okay. I'm not going to pretend like I'm well familiar with, who is it, Drew University?
Correct.
And I'm not going to be familiar, pretend to be familiar with your baseball career. What position you play?
I was a pitcher.
You're a pitcher. Were you good at the dish? At the plate?
Not good enough. No, not really good enough to hit in college.
Okay. Gotcha. So you picked up tennis recently.
Correct.
And you are never afraid to challenge someone and brag about your abilities. How would you rate your tennis abilities? And I hear that you are challenging Bill Ryder, and supposedly Bill's been ducking you a little bit.
A little bit. He's been ducking me for about 2 years now. I keep issuing the challenge. Hey, next time you come out to New York, bring a racket. Next time you come out to New York, I have a racket. I can bring you. Yeah. We can play here. We can get a court in the city. We can get an indoor court if it's in the winter or the fall months.
Get you like Arthur Ashe, right?
I'll be there. I'll be there this year. But
I know.
I mean, you can play on the outdoor.
That's what I'm saying.
On the outdoor courts.
I know some people think I'm a jerk around here. That was a serious comment. I wasn't being condescending. I wasn't being sarcastic. I was being serious.
Well, I don't know if they'll let you on the main stadium, Arthur Ashe, but the outdoor courts, absolutely.
We should make this a big day here on the network.
We should get out to Long Island, your neck of the woods.
I would be more than happy to do a tennis showdown on this show where we could broadcast it. Patty Boyle and Bill Ryder head-to-head on the tennis court, but I think I'll have to sign on my next contract, like a 5-year deal, because Bill keeps on big time.
He won't do it.
You think he's afraid to play you?
Yes.
I don't think so. I think Bill's just very busy. I think he's a busy man. It's at the height of the NBA season, right? Just came to a close. Now he wants to probably get away for a little bit. I think when Bill comes back in here in probably the fall when the NBA season starts back up, he'll play in tennis.
He won't.
This has been over a year where he's been ducking you?
Yeah, multiple times. I said anywhere, anytime, any place.
Is Bill still in the newsroom?
I don't think so. I haven't seen him.
Left? He brought in pizza, by the way.
Yes, he did give me a slice of pizza, so he's not. He's a good man.
Now, hold on.
But
out of all the pizza places he went to, I don't think he went to the greatest pizza spot. And I gave him a good recommendation last time, which he enjoyed. But he offered up pizza, which very nice thing that he did. But he has avocado on pizza?
Yeah.
That's how you know Bill is rich. Not only does he play tennis, but avocado on pizza. What are we doing here?
Not my first choice, but the place he went to is a group of pizza restaurants throughout the city. Think cross and delicious pizza places. He was to Spunto. Spunto, Pasta, Vezzo, all connected to the same ownership group.
Because gave us a gift card once during the pandemic. I think the first and last time they ever gave us a gift card around here. No, I'm just teasing. And it was to that place, Spunto. And when you look at the pizza, it doesn't look like it's great pizza, but it actually is good pizza. So I take back my comment saying that the pizza isn't all that great, because that is good pizza. But avocado, usually people do the lame bit on the radio. Do you put pineapple on a pizza? Avocado on a pizza? I don't know. I don't like that whatsoever.
It was avocado, spicy sausage, which was good. It would have been fine on its own. But he had avocado, and then it was loaded with tomatoes.
Oh, yeah?
I can understand a bruschetta slice, but come on.
And this spot has a spicy marinara, which is what he got also. The actual base sauce is a spicy sauce, too.
So I just described that for me. The avocado slice, no one else.
No, it all seemed like it was a spicy marinara, the avocado, and the tomatoes and like stuff.
Yeah, it looked like if I was trying to paint a pizza. It would be very, very messy. That's what it looked like. Botch, are you big avocado on a pizza?
No.
What's your favorite topping on a pizza? What do you put?
You can't mess up with pepperoni, but big on the penne alla vodka slice.
Why do you? Botcher goes, I'm big on the penne alla vodka. Well, we got Bobby Bacala coming up in studio at the top of the hour, so you got to get all Italian on me?
You can't say penne alla vodka or anything Italian without doing it.
Rigatoni alla vodka. I love it. I love it. It's delicious.
No.
You need something manigot. Instead of saying manigot, you manigot.
We'll get some calamari. If you're going to over-exaggerate, that's when you do the hand signal. But if you're just saying it as normally as you did, I don't think you need it.
So most people say calamari. I say calamari. And I was at a restaurant last time, and ladies, how Italian are you?
It's funny, if you leave off the last syllable, it's not a bad thing. I just don't like when people go way over the top. Like if your direct parents,
some calamari.
If your direct parents are from Italy, that's one thing.
Yeah.
If you're first generation, if you were from Italy, that's obviously another thing. If you just have Italian heritage, and you walking in, you go, let me get some calamari.
I have some specific Italian heritage. All right, if you know what I mean.
No, like I said, the way you said it, you're just leaving off the last syllable. That's not a big deal.
One of my dad's relatives once passed away. 3 or 4 men that they've never met before in suits showed up, gave my grandmother a kiss on both sides, and then got back in the car and drove right away.
Wow.
It was like a scene out of The Sopranos. There were some people that were hawking at that funeral, and I don't know who they were associated with.
Remind me to never mess with you.
Let me tell you, you're never supposed to admit that publicly. You're never supposed to.
And you just did it on national radio.
Well, that's why Bobby Bacala's joined us in studio.
And tomorrow it's going to be the Santa Botcher and Boyle show as Zach Gelb disappears.
Let me tell you, I could get whacked, and they still would never put that. Those 3 people hosting a show here on Infinity Sports Network. Sorry, guys, that wasn't all that nice. I was being a big jerk. Monty Williams fired by the Pistons. We're going to learn a lot about people right now. Botcher. He is owed, I think it's $56 million?
65.
65. Oh, yeah, $65 million for the next 5 years. Botcher, would you sit on that money, or would you get back into coaching this upcoming season if you had the option?
Depends on the job. If it's the...
Can you just give me an answer here?
Well, it depends, because if it's the Lakers, I'll say, yeah. It's a lot of pressure, but it's the Lakers. You can't mess up there. But if it's the Cavs, I'm like, Donovan Mitchell wants out, probably. Unless he signs the extension, but yeah, it's not a good spot.
Samter, what would you be doing? You have $65 million coming in one way or another. You enjoying that cash, or you going to work?
I think you can do both. I think you can go to work and still enjoy the cash. Yeah, I'm going back to work. He would have been working anyway.
Let me tell you, Samter's the biggest liar on this planet. If Infinity signed him to a $65 million contract and they said after 1 year they want to get rid of him, there's no way Samter's taking another job.
You've never seen him again.
No.
That beard's going to grow down to his belly button.
Yeah, Samter just got a new house. He would get a newer house, and then he would add another barbecue. And he would just be cooking for the rest of his life.
I hire somebody to barbecue for me. I'm not going to be out there.
I don't know. I feel like you enjoy being like the
I
big man
actually
on
do
campus
enjoy
on the
barbecuing
grill.
a little bit, yeah.
Boyle, what are you doing?
Well, I don't want to make, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer because Monty Williams was going to not coach last year because his wife got diagnosed with cancer. So I don't think he's going. I don't know if he'll coach because of that. If it was me and I had a normal, nothing going on, I would probably still coach, but I would not be. I don't know if I'm probably mailing it in. I'm probably mailing it in because if I get fired again, I know I'm still getting paid an average of, $13 million a year for the next 5 years.
You know what I'd do? I'd take a year off. So many coaches are incapable of just taking 1 year off. You reset, you recharge your batteries, and then see if you want to get back into it a year from now. But I think there's a chance he's the next Lakers coach, and I would love to see J.J. Redick, poor J.J. Redick, just get left at the altar after thinking he's getting the Lakers job, surviving the Hurley thing. If Monty Williams says, I want the Lakers job, who's been up for the Lakers job before, they were just too cheap with him. So,
yeah, it's tough to judge because he was a great coach with Phoenix the first time around. But, man, last year
he was good. They got to a finals. He was a good coach. He won Coach of the Year.
Last year, I get Detroit's young and they're inexperienced, and it was a rebuild. But man, that 28-game losing streak, and just watching some of their basketball was so pathetic. It's like how this guy is coaching the team, and it looks like a G League team. Something was amiss.
Moist Pork says he would do volunteer work. What a nice guy, Moist Pork.
No more tailoring suits for folks.
Actually, the night Mraz and I went to the Ranger game, there was a doppelganger, and it was a guy that looked just like Moist Pork. And I said to Mraz, the guy was in the suite, I'm like, did Moist Pork follow us into the suite? Was a spitting image of him. I love Moist Pork, one of my favorite people I've ever met. Tremendous dude, but I thought for sure Moist Pork was in the luxury box. We'll take a break. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We're going to debut this new segment when we come on back, Samter, or we run out of time. I'm going to follow you. Yeah, you know what? We'll take a break. You tune back. You'll see if we debut a new segment when we come on back. Here's Pat Boyle.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
All right, Zach, we're sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and auto. Save when you bundle. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Plenty of matinee baseball today. A moment of silence being held at every ballpark in honor of Willie Mays, one of the greatest players ever. The Say Hey Kid passed away last night at 93. Right now, Padres trying to finish off the Phillies 5-2 San Diego going to the bottom of the ninth. Cubbies blanking the Giants at Wrigleyville 3-0 halfway through that one. Earlier today, Braves blanked the Tigers 7-0. Brian Reynolds solo home run in the 8th inning, the only tally in Pittsburgh. Pirates shut out the Reds 1-0, and the Marlins just beat the Cardinals 4-3. You got the D-backs and the Nationals coming up at the top of the hour. NBA news, we just mentioned it. After one season, the Detroit Pistons have fired head coach Monty Williams. They still owe him $65 million. The Pacers are locking up Pascal Siakam. Multiple reports today that Indy will sign the All-NBA forward to a 4-year max contract extension worth just under $190 million. WNBA, tough news for LA Sparks rookie forward Cameron Brink. The injury she suffered in last night's game against the Connecticut Sun, a torn ACL. She'll be out for the season. Finally, at the European Championships, host Germany keep rolling. 2-0 win over Hungary means they're already guaranteed into the round of 16. Right now, Switzerland and Scotland, 1-1 in the 42nd minute. I'm Pat Boyle.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show. How you doing right here on the Infinity Sports Network? Let me first tell you that it's time to Ask the Pros, where you, the listener, gets to ask us a question brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INFSportsNet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. I will introduce the poll question right now, and we will give you an answer later on in the show. Out of the four major sports, who is the best player right now? Connor McDavid, Shohei Ohtani, Nikola Jokic, or Patrick Mahomes? The early returns, 3.6% say Nikola Jokic, 26.4% say Shohei Ohtani, 28.2% Connor McDavid, and 41.8% going with Patrick Mahomes right now as he's running away with it. So I'll give you my answer on that, and we'll break that down later on in the program. I was reading this on CBS, and it's an article from Cody Benjamin. With every new quarterback contract in the NFL, more eyebrows are raised at the inevitability of record-setting dollar amounts at the position, with even inconsistent and relatively unproven signal callers commanding historic calls. The league is well aware of the situation, according to NFL Media's Tom Pelissero, with some team owners privately discussing the possibility of a separate cap on quarterback salaries. So I'll give you my quick opinion on this, Mike. This will never happen. There is no way, like, even if the owners, and I don't know if all the owners want this to happen, because right now it says some team owners. But even if there was enough to carry momentum to maybe bring this up in the next labor negotiations with the NFL and the NFLPA, why would the NFLPA say, we're going to agree with this? A separate cap on quarterback salaries. Why would the NFLPA even agree to this?
It's easy, because that means more money for everybody else who's not a quarterback. That means that the salary cap will still be $225 million, and that way you're not having to give 75. Joe Burrow makes 25% of his team's salary cap.
Okay.
That means that the team can only spend 75% of its cap on everybody else on the other 53-man roster, 52 guys.
But
so
do you
now,
think that's going to significantly increase those other salaries?
Huge.
Does it?
I mean, Joe Burrow. So basically, Joe Burrow's making $50 million
so.
a year.
That's how they would dress it up. But when push comes to shove, would they actually? Would the other players actually make that much more money?
Well, so the reality is, if Joe Burrow's making $55 million a year, that's $1 million per player, basically, on a 53-man roster. So if you spread that out, if you still have the same salary cap and Joe Burrow's just on his own separate thing, the quarterbacks are their own separate thing, that's $1 million per player that's left over.
But the question
so
then
one
becomes,
guy can get 10.
Well, hold on. The question then becomes, how much does the salary cap go down? Because if you were saying this is going to not count against the cap, right? Or it's going to count separate, however they do this, then what is that going to bring the number down to when quarterback is the most expensive position? And then, I understand what you're saying. The answer you just gave me is the logical answer. Oh, because then, running back will get more money. But is it actually going to make the owner spend more money, or is it just getting dressed up like it's going to be? And I think it's more so the latter than the former.
Well, I think what would happen is the way the NFLPA would agree to it is if the combined two salary caps of the QB plus everybody else ends up being more than what a singular salary cap would have been. So let's say the salary cap is $200 million right now. If you're going to separate it, then now it's maybe $215. So maybe you're not getting all that extra $53 million, but you're getting an extra 15, 20, 25 million per team to spend on the players. And for the NFL, with the amount of money they're making on these TV deals, that's nothing. That's no skin off their back. And the owners will win, the players will win, and everybody will be happy.
Do you think this will ever actually happen? Because I don't.
I've been hearing about this kind of stuff for a long time.
Oh, you heard with running backs, right?
Say it again?
Even with the running back, they're like, oh, maybe we should have running backs not count against the cap so these running backs could actually go get money. I'm like, why? That's never going to happen, because once... if it's going to happen to a position, it would quarterback, because quarterback's the outlier. All the other positions, if offensive linemen start saying, oh, we want this to happen to us, or running backs or wide receivers, there will never be exceptions made for those positions.
The only exception for a running back position that makes sense to me is to slot high, because you know how the draft has slotted salaries for every every position, every draft pick. That running backs should get a higher slotted value for wherever they're selected, because their careers are basically that first contract, and then after that, they're just thrown off to the wolves. It's very rare for a running back to get a top-level, big-dollar second contract unless you're the elite of the elite. There's 4 or 5 guys who get that deal. Otherwise, everyone else, you can have 2,000-yard seasons, and then you get thrown to the wolves.
Now, the other thing is it's a separate cap on quarterback salaries. So that means they would set aside however many $1 million on your roster for a quarterback. Would even the quarterbacks agree to that? Because then it could potentially, right now, it's just going through the roof. A few years ago, $40 million a year for now it's $55 million. Who knows how that continues to go up? Would the number be great enough where they would see the trends for a 10-year CBA agreement, let's just say, where the quarterbacks would feel comfortable agreeing to that number? That's the other part.
I think part of the problem is that the quarterbacks would probably see the biggest negative impact on their salary. So you're right, it would definitely impact. But when you're a guy who's making $55 million a year, and now you're seeing your salary going down to $49 million a year, and you're complaining, and everybody else's salary on your team can go up, and you're complaining, and you're supposed to be the leader of your team, it's not going to be a good look. So I think a lot of quarterbacks will probably end up staying quiet because they know they're still getting a ton of money, and they're they don't want to hurt their fellow teammates.
You're not
because
serious.
At the end of they might not.
How many times is there a labor dispute and everyone's like, we're on the same team, and then when push comes to shove, no one's actually on the same team.
They might not have any.
Selfish.
They might not have
selfish. It's actually doing. I don't want to even call it selfish. That's a negative connotation. Go make as much money as you can, as long as you can when you play this lethal game. It's nice to put up this idea, you look for your teammates and all that, but in reality, everyone's looking out what's in the best interest of themselves. Bobby Bacalao will join us in studio. Steve Schirripa next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All right, you're rocking and rolling now with number 2 of our radio program. That's right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. The New York Boulders will celebrate Sopranos Day at Clover Stadium before and during their 3 p.m. Eastern Time game versus the New England Knockouts on Sunday, June 23rd. Sopranos co-star Steve Schirripa, you know him obviously as Bobby Bacala, will join along with his beloved dachshund Willie, who's in studio with us right now as well. You could follow at Willie the Weenie of Wall Street. What a name on Instagram. Part of the proceeds from Steve's appearance and Willie's too at the ballpark will be donated to the Hudson Valley Humane Society. Steve, first off, it's a pleasure. You know, I'm sure you get this a ton. Oh, The Sopranos is my favorite show. But as someone that turns 30 in 2 months, it's crazy how like people my age have still fallen in love with The Sopranos, with it ending back in 2007. But appreciate you coming on in.
Oh, sure thing, man. Happy to be here. But look, there's a lot of young people. Show ended in 2007. You were too young to watch it when it came on the first time. Everybody discovered it. Kids in their late teens, 20s. Streaming. There's more people watching the show now than watched it then.
Oh, it's during the pandemic. I think I watched it obviously before that, but during the pandemic, I think I watched it like 3 times.
Yeah, you know the thing is, it holds up. Like except for like the cars and the computers, I mean, it holds up like it was written yesterday. I mean, it's brilliant writing. We just had the 25th anniversary the other day. We all got together at the Beacon.
Okay.
And there's a documentary coming out, which is fantastic. And I saw Uncle Junior, who I haven't seen.
Oh, wow.
He's 93. Dominic Chianese, and Edie was there, and Drea was there, and Michael Imperioli, and the whole gang. And it was good to see everybody. I haven't seen some of them in years. And, you know, we're still celebrating, man. I joined the show in June of 1999.
How did you get on the show?
I was an entertainment director in Vegas. I was born in Brooklyn, but I moved to Vegas in 1980. I was working as an executive, started acting, dabbling. You know, I had been booking comics and stuff. And I came in for a wedding and I auditioned.
That's crazy.
That was it, yeah.
When did you know? Because, right, like now everyone says Sopranos, you know, one of, if not the greatest shows of all time. When was it during your run that you were like, man, not only are we all starting to make it, but this is something really special?
Well, I think it was like July of I think 2000 or whatever. They got nominated for 16 Emmys, and no cable show had been nominated before. And so that kind of was like, oh, okay, now more eyeballs are on this show. You know, every year it got bigger and bigger and bigger. The show was small the first season, you know, and then it got bigger, more characters, and you know, I never really knew, but it was crazy. It was like playing for the Yankees. I know you're a Met fan.
Yeah.
It was like playing for the Mets in '86.
Yeah.
When we were shooting the show here.
I think you guys did more winning than them. They only won 1 World Series that group.
But you go around, you know, I mean, it was hanging around the city. We all ran around together. We enjoyed every moment, man. You know, every bar, every restaurant, we were there. We traveled together. We did appearances, casinos. Had a good time, really good time.
And actually, my cousin's husband, or ex-husband now, he played a role on the show.
Ex-husband, what happened?
Yeah.
Tell me what happened.
I'm not going to get into that
Was
business.
he cheating on her? What happened?
No. Hey, some people, you get married, you pop out a few kids, and then you go your separate ways.
All right.
But he was...
What did he play?
He was Big Pussy's son in the show. So when they had the scene, he had like
I don't
two
remember.
scenes.
I mean,
they had the scene where Big Pussy's about to put on the wire, and then his wife comes running into the room. I guess they go do her makeup, and they start fighting on the floor. And he comes running. And he's like, "Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing?" Like he tries to get him off, like you're crazy.
And that was it.
Yeah, that was it.
That was the end of his career.
Yeah, that was the end of his career. I think he did some other acting somewhere else.
Did he?
But
Okay.
nothing.
And listen, everyone, which was great, but everybody wanted to be attached to the show somehow, some way.
Yeah.
I ran into a guy last week. Hey, man, we worked together.
Yeah.
So where did we work together? That wedding scene out in Long Island. I said I wasn't in that scene.
Yeah. Well, he's humbled. I will say, I texted him last night. We still talk, and I said to him, I got Steve Schirripa coming in. He goes, "Don't even mention me. I'll no clue who I am."
Why not? I hope he's doing okay.
So let me ask you this, because today, 11 years ago, James Gandolfini passed away. When you look back at your relationship with him and then also just who he was, you hear all these great stories. How would you kind of describe James?
He was just a great guy, man. We had a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, a lot of fun. Generous guy. I've talked about it a million times. He gave all of us $33,000 one year after he had his contract dispute. He cared about you like as an actor. He cared about the crew. He wasn't above anyone. He cared about the other actors. Robert Loggia, wonderful guy, was having a very difficult time with his lines. A scene that should have took 4 hours took 8 hours. Another actor, and there's a lot of these actors are not nice people, and impatient and think they're stars. And Jim, who was a legitimate star, was patient as can be. Somebody else would have said, get rid of him, get somebody else. He did not. We went slow. We helped him. Jim sent a dialogue coach for him that night to help him with his lines. He was getting older, So that's the kind of guy he was. He actually cared, not without faults. Mm-hmm. And that's been publicized, not without faults. But I tell you, we had a hell of a good time.
And it seems like it's funny, right? Like you watch a show and then you see all these reunion shows that you guys shot and things like that, like years ago, interviews. It seemed like it was one big happy family.
It absolutely was. As the years gone on, people drift. People doing their own thing. But I don't know. David Chase put this group of people together, kind of from the same backgrounds. Most of us were from back east. Most of us were Italian American, not everybody. And I don't know. We had party after party. The work was very serious. Jim was very serious about the work, as was Michael and all of us. But when it was time to have fun, we had fun, including David Chase, and it very much became a family. It was great to see everybody the other day. It was like
high school reunion.
Absolutely, by all means. Good people. Bunch of good people on the show,
Steve Schirripa in studio
Willie
with
Boy's
us.
getting impatient. Because you know why? Because he knows he's in a Met. This is Met time, and he's a Yankee fan.
I'm going to move far away from the
Come
dog.
on now.
I want the dog
He's
to
got
whack
his
me.
Yankee jersey on, and he knows, he smells something's up. Now, listen, I just want to preface, we don't hate the Mets. We're not Met-hating Yankee fans.
You know what's funny? When I was a kid, I hated the Yankees. But as I get older, like the Yankees are everything I want my baseball team to be. So I can't sit there and hate the Yankees.
We don't hate the Mets. I went to a couple games last year. I root for the Mets.
No, I think that's more when you're like younger. You go down the hall in a bit. Some of the people down there, they'll hate the Yankees.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Some of the Met fans
Well,
definitely.
let's go. Bring them on.
Yeah.
Me and Willie are ready. Let's go, Met fans.
I always wanted to ask you this, Steve Schirripa. When you find out when the show's coming to an end, so it's probably easier than if it was earlier, and you find out you're getting killed on the show, what's that like?
If I would have got killed off like Vinny Pastore, big pussy, right? He got killed off in the end of the second season, and he missed the whole thing.
Yeah,
he missed us making money. He missed, and we talk about it. We do a live show Matter of fact, we're going to be in Montclair, New Jersey, but I will talk about that later. But, Vinny talks about it. I mean, you're heartbroken because it's not just the money. I mean, you're on the greatest show possibly in TV history. It very much is like a family. It was like going to work to your friend. I never once said, I got to work today. It's like going to hang out with your friends. I mean, you missed out on all that. And I tell you what, he did have an opportunity, like after he got killed off.
Yeah.
And he's a wonderful guy and a wonderful actor. And, he did have a lot of opportunities. He was the first soprano out. But if I would have been killed off early, I would have been heartbroken. I'll tell you right now. And then it keeps on coming. All you do is hear sopranos. Yeah. And people will come up to you, why, you should be on the show. I mean, it's got to drive you mad. And I was very lucky I get killed off the next to last episode. But I'll tell you what, I was afraid every step of the way. Because the more they gave you to do your character, the better shot you got to get killed off. Because the audience is invested in you. And it doesn't mean nothing if you're just a small character, they kill you. You're a big character, which they killed off every season. Sure. A big character.
So, like, when you find out, and like we said, it was coming to an end, like, do you just get the script and you read it? No.
I got a call. Hold on for David. And I picked up the phone and I said, yeah, what's up, David? He said, where are you? And I said, I'm at my apartment. He said, well, I'm coming over. I mean, we don't hang out.
Yeah, right.
This is like the boss of whatever.
Yeah.
Infinity coming to your house. Hey, Zach, listen, where are you? I'm coming. I'm on my way.
Got to check if my contract's renewed or not.
So
how many years they got left on it?
The doorman called. He said, Chase is here. I opened the door. He's got a park around. It was in the winter, like January. And he goes, I guess you know why I'm here.
Oh my
God. It was like a real hit. I went, I guess so. And he sat down, and he was very vague. It's going to be a train. And I said, okay. And he was tapping a pencil. It was kind of awkward. I don't know why he was tapping a pencil.
He's nervous.
And I said, were you happy with my work? He said, very, blah, blah, blah. I said, thank you for changing my life. He stayed about 15 minutes, and he was gone. Never took his coat off. And I was kind of flattered because I talked to Jim. And
he didn't bring you some like ziti or anything?
He didn't bring me nothing. But he did. I was kind of honored because most people found out, in a phone call. Or you were on the set and he would say, can I talk to you for a minute? What's the matter? It's okay.
Doesn't like my question.
He's nice. He's a nice boy. He's a nice boy. Say hello. Say hello to Zach. Say. He's a nice boy. He's a Mets fan. Okay.
I should have brought a TREAT.
He smells the Mets coming out of you. He smells Steve Cohen coming out of you. So that's how I found out. Some guys got phone calls. Listen, it was inevitable. It was what it was. And it was scary, but,
It's really amazing, the writing. And I know that you talked about that earlier, but it was so ahead of the time in the way that society is now, it feels like.
He hit it right on the head. Capitalism, the state of America. It's like he predicted the future.
No, it's
isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
About the corporate America, about all this stuff. That's exactly what the show is about. The show was a mob show, but it was
but even
not about that,
Mental health, sexuality, like things that are big topics today, too.
Absolutely.
And gets more recognized with Tony and going to the whole show based off him going to a therapist.
I mean, listen, David was into, I guess
Vito's character.
He probably still is his therapy. Vito's character. It's all different now. I mean, back then it was like, now, 20 years later, it's no big deal, But it was about the mob, but it wasn't about the mob. It was about a family, you know?
We'll get to the Sopranos date in just a second, then I'll get you out of here because I'm sure Willie wants to go
Willie
for a walk.
Doesn't want to go. They're kicking us out, man. You know why? Because you're wearing a Yankee jersey. Yankees!
What's your favorite scene that you shot?
Well, I have two favorite scenes of the show. One that I'm not in. It's the scene where Tony and Carmela, they have the breakup, and she says, I've been fantasizing about Furio. And he goes out of his mind. You think he's going to punch her. He punches the wall. That's as good at acting as two people will ever have. I mean, I don't care, movies, whatever. That was a couple breaking up, and it was very, very, very real. And that's one of my favorite scenes, And then, of course, the fight scene with me and Jim.
Yeah.
We were up there for 2 weeks. All that lake house stuff was a lot of fun. It was me, Edie, Aida, and Jim, just the four of us. And it was a lot of fun. We were actually up at that lake house for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And they say Babe Ruth, I'm not kidding you, they say Babe Ruth owned the house next door.
No way. Are you serious?
I'm dead serious,
Wow.
and there's all pictures of Babe Ruth. Now, the house we shot in was Roy Scheider from Jaws.
Okay.
That used to be his house. His wife got in divorce. She rents it out. The house next door, supposedly, they said in the winter, he would take girls up there. Babe Ruth, there was all pictures of Babe Ruth in there. The house next door, for real.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm going to put Willie down.
That's fine. You can let Willie
walk
run
around. Zach's getting nervous. You know, if he takes a dump, I can't help you.
Yeah.
But
well, if someone else pick
if
it
he
up.
takes a dump, what are you going to do?
But one of my producers pick it up.
So I'm going to be Sunday night, Boulder. I'm going to be in Pomona, New York. You got the info. Boulder, New York. We're going to have a great time. We had just did Somerset, double A team.
Oh, yeah,
We're going to
Somerset
be out
Patriots,
there. Great minor league baseball. It's going to be great. Me and Willie will be there. There's meet and greets. We're going to be on the concourse taking pictures. Willie will be on the field. We're going to throw out the first pitch. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's Soprano Day. It starts at 2 o'clock. So we're going to have a really good time. And come out. You're doing nothing. You want to watch good baseball?
Yeah.
This Sunday, the 23rd, New York Boulders, Pomona, and Rockland.
And the last thing I'll ask you, did you enjoy the scene when you showed up in the camp gear for the Pine Barrens and they had you dressed up?
Listen, Jim said to me he already had seen the outfit, right? So he goes, he said, how you going to make me laugh tomorrow morning? So in the morning, I don't know what to do. I talked to the prop guy. You got anything to make me laugh? The guy gives me a 3-foot dildo. It was like an Italian bread. I don't tell Steve Buscemi's directing. I don't tell him. I don't tell anyone. And I turned the corner. You know, I'm off camera. Yeah. Jim's pouring the bottle of liquor, and I start twirling it around. And what you see, if you go back and look at that scene, he's pouring the thing. He busts out laughing. Yeah. And that's what he was looking at.
Wow.
Instead of me. And then Uncle Junior almost cracks. Mm-hmm. You can see Dominic almost cracking. Yeah. And so that's that scene. No, don't bother me. Tony Sirico said to me, because, I had the Santa suit, the patch.
Yeah, sure.
I wore lederhosen. I had all the,
trains at the end.
All these things, the choo-choo hat. He said to me, they'd like to dress you up like a moron.
So once again, the New York Boulders celebrate Sopranos Day at Clover Stadium before and during the 3 p.m. Eastern Time game versus the New England Knockouts on Sunday, June 23rd. Sopranos co-star Steve Schirripa, who's here with us right now, will join along with his beloved Dachshund Willie. Make sure you give a follow at Willie the Weenie of Wall Street on Instagram. Parts of the proceed will go to Steve's appearance and Willie's too at the ballpark and will be donated to the Hudson Valley Humane Society.
Now, Montclair, New Jersey, the Wilmot Theater, we're going to be in. Conversation with the Sopranos. Oh. We got the great comic Joey Cola, Michael Imperioli, me, Vinny Pastore. It's a great night. Slides. We show clips.
Is this still an extension from when you and Michael still do the podcast?
We don't do the podcast anymore. It's over. We went through all the episodes.
Yeah, that's true.
We've been doing this for years. If you're a Soprano fan, we've done it all over the country. We've done it in Australia. We were in Wilmot earlier in the year. In Montclair, we have very few dates. We're doing Westerly, Rhode Island, November 23rd. Me and Michael Imperioli will be up there. And then Montclair, New Jersey in November 30th. Thanksgiving weekend, you're tired of your pain in the ass relatives. You can't stand them. You say, I got to go out and go to the show.
So you're about to go on down the hall with Tiki Barber, Evan Roberts, and Sean Marash.
Is that who I'm with?
Yeah, Sean Marash and I, we have a big feud.
All right.
Because he gets annoyed with me and my family on Thanksgiving. We got rid of the turkey years ago, and we just do lasagna as the featured dish. And
I understand that.
He takes big issue with that.
I understand that because I don't like the turkey so much anymore.
Thank you.
I'm tired of that kind of turkey. It's just nothing. I agree. Nobody eats it. You're just picking at it. You know what I mean? I like all the other stuff and the lasagna or rigatoni. I could do without the turkey. You know, I like ham, but I can do it off the turkey.
Well, we'll let you go find Willie. I appreciate you
I'll
coming
talk
on
to
in.
him about that when I get down there.
Yeah, I don't know if he likes me or not.
Hey,
he was growling at me.
Really?
I don't know. I don't think I made a good impression on Willie.
All right. Oh, no. Willie's there. He growls at everyone. He's fine.
Oh, yeah.
He's fine, but he left. I don't know where he went. I got to try to find him.
He's Steve Schirripa. It's the Zach Gelb Show, the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a timeout and come on back after these short messages.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
All righty, rocking and rolling. It is the Infinity Sports Network right here on the Zach Gelb Show. Steve Schirripa was just in studio, and that was wonderful. You know, there's sometimes that, like, you may have some selfish segments, and I think that was a selfish segment, Samter, where, like, to me, that's, you know, some people are like, oh, why are you talking non-sports? Why are you talking non-sports? That, to me, is my favorite TV show of all time. The first time I saw The Sopranos, actually, like, watch an entire episode, was the last episode. It was 2007. My parents loved The Sopranos, and as a family, my dad's like, this is an iconic TV show coming to an end. Everyone has to sit down and watch it. And when they're in the final scene in the restaurant, and you have Don't Stop Believin' playing, and that comes on, and then it just fades to black. I kid you not. You remember the old cable modems that were with Cablevision, and it would have like a card, and you'd have to sometimes, you know, if you wanted to reset, take out the card and press the reset. When the screen faded to black and it took a few seconds until the credits rolled up, I thought that the cable went out. And I'm like, because you get told things when you were a kid. In 2007, I was in middle school. So my dad's like, it's the greatest TV show of all time. It's the greatest TV show of all time. And, you know, being a big radio listener in New York, you know, the show would air, and then the following day, right, they would always talk about it on the radio. So, like, you knew stuff that was going on, even if I wasn't watching every show and every episode. But when that screen faded to black, I thought for sure that the cable box just went out in my parents' home on Long Island.
I think a lot of people thought that, and it's an old Andy Kaufman joke, where Andy Kaufman, you know, years ago, back in the 70s, he did a whole bit on TV where they intentionally made like static on the TV and forced people to start banging on their TVs at the time. And it was all a bit. And nobody's TV was messed up. So I feel like David Chase probably pulled something like that. Like, hey, let me just mess with everybody. But also, it was a very iconic kind of moment. When you look back at how they ended that show, in the moment,
still
it's probably
talked about today.
Yeah, it's still very frustrating, I think, at the moment, because people thought maybe their TVs went out, or maybe they didn't like the ending once they thought. But as you look back and you realize exactly what they're getting at by having it go blank in the middle of the scene.
Well, it depends on how you interpret it.
No, there's no interpretation.
No, that's what makes it great.
Yeah.
I know that Samter's very stuck in his ways, and it's his way or it's the highway. But to me, the fact that ending from 2007 is still talked about today, and you have 9,000 interpretations, it shows you how creative it is, because it makes sure that the show lives on forever. And Steve's right. It's more popular today than it was when it was airing, which is crazy. It's not like it ended 2 years ago. This ended in 2007.
And here's part of it. Part of the reason why I didn't watch it until maybe 4 or 5 years ago was back then you didn't have Netflix and you didn't have HBO Max and you didn't have all these different streaming services. So unless you were recording it like on a VCR every week, if you missed an episode, you're screwed. You know, you can just like
on
go
HBO?
back. Yeah, you can just like go back and watch it on demand, or go back and watch it on some streaming service. So I missed the first like season and a half before people started talking about it. And at that point, it was too late for me to go back and start watching all the seasons unless I started buying the DVDs and catching up. But I wasn't doing that either. So I think what's happening now is a lot of people who missed these kinds of shows, these epic shows during these times, are able to go back now and able to watch it. And like, that's what I did. I was able to go back on HBO and watch them all and record them all. And I watched it, and it's amazing. It's definitely a top 10 show of all time.
So it's my favorite show of all time, hands down.
Yeah,
What's your favorite show of all time?
To me, Breaking Bad is not only my favorite, but Breaking Bad is the best show of all time.
I've said this before, and I think people are like blown away when I say this. I've never seen Breaking Bad.
It was the same reaction people had when I told them I never saw Sopranos until 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a show that, Zach, I'm telling you, the first scene of Breaking Bad will get you hooked in seconds.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, you're going to be hooked on that show. It is so good. It is so well written and so perfectly acted.
How many seasons? Like 5 or 6, right?
It is 6 seasons, but the 5th season was like broken up into 2 long seasons because they had the writer's strike right in the middle.
Okay.
But it was
so how many
good.
episodes like per season around?
Oh, man, I think 20-something
8?
episodes.
Botcher says 8? Go ahead, Botcher.
Depends. So I think some of them are like 10 to 12, and some of them are less than that, I think.
Okay, so on average?
It's about like 11. I'd say 11 per season.
And how long is an episode?
56 minutes.
56 minutes. Okay. I got some time in my hands. Yeah. Sopranos, Entourage, Curb, and 24 would be the first like four shows I would think of in my favorite shows of all time.
You don't throw Seinfeld in there?
I like Seinfeld. I'm not like live or die with Seinfeld. Talk about bad endings, by the way. That got poked fun at. That made the ending of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Literally. Sorry if you didn't see the end of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I didn't see any of Curb Your Enthusiasm. The problem with Curb Your Enthusiasm, as much as I love Larry David,
genius,
is Seinfeld gave you a level of cringe where you're like, oh, that's kind of cringy, and then it kind of moves on. Curb was all cringe all the time, and there's only so much cringe that I can watch, like Meet the Fockers or
you can't compare Meet the Fockers to Curb.
Or like Meet the Parents, like those kind of cringy movies where like it's just constant embarrassment after embarrassment. I get uncomfortable and I can't keep watching those shows, and so Curb, it was so uncomfortable that after like 4 or 5
like
episodes,
in Meet the Fockers, when Ben Stiller gets up on stage after he got like shot up with Truth Serum and starts spilling out his heart, you didn't like that?
All those embarrassing.
Or when the baby starts saying a word that I can't say on the radio in that voice.
All those kinds of shows.
It sounds
and
a little bit
movies,
like mess.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I said mass to be clear, Botcher. We don't need to get dumped again.
Just know all those kinds of shows where it's just constant embarrassing moment after embarrassing moment after embarrassing moment. I can't stomach it, and that's all Curb is. It's just cringy, embarrassing moment one after another, and I can't binge that. So like I watch 10 minutes of an episode and I have to stop and like wait a day before I watch another episode.
Your TV watching parameters are a little bit more serious.
It's only for Curb. Every other show I can if I like it, and I like Curb, I just can't stomach too much of it at once.
Botcher, what's your favorite TV show of all time?
Right now, it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
That's in my top 10 also.
That's a pretty damn good one.
That's a great answer over there, Botcher.
Is that your favorite?
Yes.
Your favorite TV show of all time?
Always
I
Sunny.
love Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I did not peg Boyle as an Always Sunny in Philadelphia guy.
Yeah, big time. Love it. From the moment my brother showed me, going back to when I was in high school, I've watched. Oh my God! I mean, they've got probably over 100 episodes now, and I've watched.
They do like pop-up events in the city.
Yeah, and I've probably watched
I dated a girl that she would go with like her brother to all these like pop-up Always Sunny in Philadelphia events. They do like these massive like in-person shows.
Well, Rob McElhenney, who's Mac, is huge now. He owns the team with Ryan Reynolds, Wrexham, the soccer team.
And that show's awesome too. That show.
Oh
is just...
wait, didn't they send a bunch of free crap to the studio?
Yeah, I have a
Santa's
Wrexham
walking around with the scarf.
I have a
and
Wrexham scarf.
They say like a scarf.
No,
with
the
a
show's good. And following Wrexham, the team, I've been a Wrexham fan. They're in Wales, but they're part of the English Premier League. Well, they're not in the Premier League. They're in the English subdivision. They started out in the very bottom league. In the past 2 years, they've been promoted twice. So now we're the second level down. They have their Division 2, and they have one more level with the Championship, and then they're up in the Premier League. So they're moving up. And
it's like Ted Lasso,
basically. But imagine Ted Lasso, but like just better. As far as
Ted Lasso had a strong start. Then it lost me a bit. And then I thought they did a good job patching it up at the end.
Yeah, I think Ted Lasso is another one of my top 10, top 15. That's such a good movie. Great life lessons, incredible script, awesome acting.
Yeah, I think people on YouTube are very annoyed with this 4 frame. Every time you guys go to the 4 frame on YouTube, on the YouTube stream,
what's wrong with it?
I think it messes up everybody's. I think because of our system, it doesn't sync up my audio to when I'm actually talking.
Really?
I don't know. That's what people are
I
telling
think it's the background. It's like getting hit with the flashbang.
I kind of like this stuff, shot. I think this looks good. I don't know what the heck you guys are doing with Schirripa. You guys are like zooming in on like my nose hairs. And you guys were like very up in my face.
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. Great time to have them. Let me tell you about you. So
as long as you're getting Willie and getting Steve, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I felt bad for the dog. Yeah, the dog's sitting here for like 15, 20 minutes now.
Well, I mean, listen.
Should have brought in some gabagool.
You know,
Or some cheese.
you
Give it to
need to learn to be more dog friendly on the show.
I'm very dog friendly. Dogs love me. Some people call me Nigel Thornberry with animals.
That dog didn't love you.
That dog ran out of as quick as it did.
Yeah, I opened the door and he ran down the hallway to his mom.
Yeah.
Who's Nigel Thornberry?
That's from the Wild Thornberries, the show.
Guy talks to the animals.
Old Nickelodeon show.
Yeah, he talks to the animals.
I'm Nigel Thornberry.
Yeah.
They're a bunch of hippies.
My second cousin, talking about shows, was one of the writers for Boy Meets World.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I had a crush on Topanga back in the day. I think every young boy had a crush on Topanga.
I was going to say, Topanga and then in the movie The Sandlot, Peppercorn, whatever her name is.
Yeah, Peppercorn, yeah.
Yeah, Peppercorn.
Wendy.
The light Wendy.
Wendy Peppercorn.
I thought Boy was like, I know Wendy.
Kapowski was another one for the young buck out there.
Boy was like, I've watched that scene more than a few times.
Kelly Kapowski. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Squints. Squints was my hero.
An all-time move. One that you can't do that. You can't get it that day. But
no, it'd be a big lawsuit.
Yeah, in the movie, mouth to mouth, pretends to drown, makes out with the lifeguard.
Boy, it's like we used to call that Tuesday for back then.
And at the end of the movie, we had Mariner.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We actually had the great Hambino on the show back maybe a year ago. Patrick Wren is his name.
He's like courtside at the NBA Finals. He was a celebrity for the NBA Finals.
He's a big-time sports fan. Dude, really funny, really interesting guy.
I know, but I wasn't expecting him.
Great Hambino?
Yeah, be courtside at the time.
You play ball like a girl.
But by the way, just real quickly doing this, and we'll get to the part. Since we're on the topic of t-shirts, this is my favorite summer radio to do. What's the one show that's very popular that you just can't stand? Like, was your Curb Your Enthusiasm, Samter? That's what it seemed like.
No, I wouldn't. No, I enjoyed it when I watched it. I have to think about that for a second. A show that I couldn't, like Big Bang Theory, but like I couldn't stand.
Botcher, is there a show that you have that a lot of people love and you just didn't give a crap about?
Off the top of my head, no.
Man,
Walking
you guys
Dead.
Showing up to work today or no?
Walking Dead was another show that I just could never get into. I like zombie stuff, but I never got into it.
But I'll let Boyle go first. Go ahead.
The Office.
Wow.
Which apparently is like most
that
people's
hurts me.
favorite show of all time. It's not that funny.
Sabara, the best New York City pizza.
It's just not that funny.
Mine's Game of Thrones.
Yeah, you're not a sci-fi guy. You wouldn't like that kind of stuff.
So,
but I love Game of Thrones.
Well, first off, you assume a lot about me, Samter. I forget what it was. Oh, you're like, oh, you're not a golf guy. I'm like, I actually am a golf guy. So you don't know what I particularly like or dislike yet.
I don't see you being a Star Wars or a Star Trek or a Game of Thrones or any of that. Harry Potter. You're not into any of that sci-fi.
I liked Harry Potter.
Okay, good. All right, so
Harry
you and I can have
Potter I
conversations.
liked.
Yeah, well, Harry Potter for you?
Yeah. I'm a Harry Potter.
I was a Slytherin fan.
You would be. You would be.
Of course I would. It's a great trolling movie.
You're a villain.
Harry Potter I liked. I never got into Star Wars. Game of Thrones, though, especially when I was in college, my friends religiously watched Game of Thrones. And I watched 2 episodes of it, and I said, this is not for me. This is stupid. I went to all the parties, though. Like people like pregame for Game of Thrones.
Well, there's a new season of House of Dragon, which I cannot wait to start watching.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, is that like a...
It's the prequel.
It's a spinoff?
It's a spinoff, but it's basically the prequels. What happened in the centuries before Game of Thrones happened. So all the stuff that they referenced in Game of Thrones, this is the show that kind of is all of that. Yeah. Another show that you should watch if you haven't gotten into it is The Boys. I don't know if you like superhero movies, but this is a dark, like villainous superhero movie. It's a show. It's awesome.
Okay, we'll take a time out. It's Zach Gelb Show, the Infinity Sports Network. Bart Winkler is going to join us next.
Samter's got good taste in TV.
Let's not give him too many compliments. I think we reached our quota of compliments we could give Samter for the day. We don't need his head getting any bigger than it already is.
Not possible.
Here's Pat Boyle with the latest update.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
All right, Zach, one day after the passing of one of the all-time legends in baseball, Willie Mays, MLB, holding a moment of silence at every ballpark today. Plenty of afternoon baseball to get you caught up on. Right now, the Cubbies lead the Giants 6-1 in the top of the 8th. D-backs and the Nationals scoreless in the top of the 3rd. Earlier today, Braves beat up on Tarek Skubal and the Tigers 7-0 the final. Pirates blank the Reds 1-0. Padres take down the Phillies 5-2. And the Marlins walk off the Cardinals for the 2nd straight day, 4-3 the final. Big news of the day coming from the NBA. The Detroit Pistons firing head coach Monty Williams after just 1 season. A year where a young rebuilding Pistons team finished 14-68. Worst in the league. They still owe $65+ million to Williams, who had 5 years left on his contract. And multiple reports stating the Pacers will sign All-NBA forward Pascal Siakam to a 4-year max contract extension worth just under $190 million. On the ice, can the Panthers finally vanquish the Oilers? After leading 3-0 Edmonton has brought it back to Canada tonight for Game 6. Panthers star Matthew Tkachuk the other night asked if they're feeling the pressure. He said, quote, "No, this isn't an elimination game for us," end quote. Edmonton looking to become just the 5th team in NHL history to win a series after trailing 3-0. I'm Pat Boyle.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's an epic battle for the Infinity Sports Network. Zach.
Lethargic, putrid, pathetic. Quitters. They're quitters. What a joke.
Bart.
Something fun to talk about. That's what we do here. It's like, hey, guys, it's like we're just hanging out at a bar talking sports.
It's time for Winkler Wednesday. Only on the Zach Gelb Show.
Bart Winkler joins us right now on the Zach Gelb Show for Winkler Wednesday. You can listen to Bart on many of these same stations, Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern Time. And Bart joins us right now. What's up, Bart?
Wow, that was bad.
What? What was bad?
Bart Winkler's here. You can find him at night.
Okay, sorry. Because I usually have such high energy. When I'm not at 1,000, you get your... I got to be careful with what I'm about to say in the radio. You get your feelings.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say, and you're right, I do.
So,
they are absolutely in that position.
You know what? Time out. Botcher, can you play me the open again here? Play me the open one more time. We'll do this from the top because Bart is like the diva now of the Infinity Sports.
You want me to go to the graphic too? The whole thing?
No, just play me the intro. Go ahead.
It's an epic battle for the Infinity Sports Network. Zach.
Lethargic, putrid, pathetic. Quitters. They're quitters. What a joke.
Bart.
Something fun to talk about. That's what we do here. It's like, hey, guys, it's like we're just hanging out at a bar talking sports.
It's time for Winkler Wednesday. Only on the Zach Gelb Show.
If you don't listen to Bart Winkler, you suck. Bart Winkler joins us from the Bart Winkler Show. You could listen to him right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Weeknights. 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern Time. If you don't listen to him, you're a meanie. You're a jerk. You're a douche. Is that better for you?
God, will you tone it down? I'm literally just Bart Winkler.
All right, from the top. All right, welcome back in. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I don't really like to speak loudly, so Bart Winkler, he hosts an average radio show, and he joins us right now.
That's perfect.
Would that be better?
That's what I was looking for.
Okay. I got enough promos for you today. I got a question for you because I know how well covered you are and you love to give all the sports the proper amount of time. Out of the 4 major sports, who's the best player right now? Is it Patrick Mahomes?
Wow.
Is it Connor McDavid? Is it Shohei Ohtani? Or is it Nikola Jokic?
I think it's Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, why?
We did a topic last week about if you were an NFL quarterback or an NFL team. Mm-hmm. Feel free to use this and go through the NFL. It's great summer content. Trust me.
Sure. Taking notes.
And you had, you have your quarterback, but you have a 50-50 coin flip. And behind door number 1, you get Patrick Mahomes. And behind number 2, you get, Kyle Bowler or someone still over. I don't know. You get, worst quarterback or Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Ramsey?
Yeah. I think that all but maybe 5 or 6 teams do the risk for Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
So I would look at that equation for other teams. Are we doing that for Jokic? Are we doing it for McDavid? Yeah, Jokic different, basketball's different, but it is still
I think it's out of the 4 sports right now to figure out who the best player is in their sport. I think basketball is the toughest. The answer is Nikola Jokic. He's a 3-time MVP. But I feel like in basketball, since LeBron is no longer at the right, without a doubt, the number 1 guy, and it's not KD anymore. I think for a little bit we went to Steph, then a little bit we went to Nikola Jokic. For a while,
one of those MVPs should have been one of those MVPs should have been Giannis's, correct?
Right, it was Giannis for a little bit, but I think the last 2 years, the answer has been Nikola Jokic. Jason Tatum winning the NBA Finals. Don't get me wrong, he's a phenomenal player, but no one's saying Jason Tatum is now the best player in the league. If maybe Luka Doncic won the championship, you would have had that conversation. So I think Nikola Jokic is in at 4th. But you could give me any of Mahomes, McDavid, or Ohtani, and I can't really debate you on it. The argument for Mahomes would be because he has the championships too. But man, Ohtani, think about it. And I probably would have said Mahomes at first. But the reason why I think I'll go Ohtani, and I know he can't pitch right now, But even with taking away the pitching abilities, he's still the odds-on favorite to win the MVP because he's that great at the plate. And it would almost be like when he is able to pitch, if Mahomes also then played corner, let's just say, in addition to playing quarterback.
I would need to brush up more on hockey. I do know that they're winning games when McDavid scores, and they're not when he doesn't.
He's the best player in the league, hands down, Connor.
Indicator. I'm going to say Mahomes, and then I'll go to bed, and then in the middle of the night, I'll be unable to fall asleep, and I'll be like, should I have said Ohtani, though? So that's where I am on that answer.
Yeah, I think the way that I would rank it, and I can't crush you for Mahomes because he's won 3 Super Bowls already, and no one has an answer for him outside of, unless if Tom Brady's on the other sideline, which now he's going to the Fox booth. It's Ohtani 1. I went Mahomes 2, McDavid 3, and Nikola Jokic in F4. So that's the way that.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I view you as somebody who's more professional than me.
I could be unprofessional, but compared to you, yes, I'm like the most professional button-up broadcaster that's ever existed.
I think my emotions take over too many times.
You think? I've been following some of the feuds you've been in recently. It's tough to keep up.
I know. Well, that usually, if there's like a chart of when my feuds happen, it's usually during championships is when I get a little unhinged.
Yeah, I did go after you the other day, a little bit. Like a little jab. I thought it was a little lame of you, right, when the Celtics won the championship, to start going after people for saying, oh, it's the 18th banner for the Celtics.
Well, it's the 18th banner for the Celtics. That's right. But why don't we – how come every time I say the Green Bay Packers have won 13 championships, people always respond with, but how many Super Bowls? Why is there a clear line in the NFL when there should be in the NBA also? How come?
The
Celtics won – 9 of their championships when there were 9 teams or less.
You know what? I'm not even going to respond. I'll let you get it out of your system. Go ahead. Give me the argument.
Okay, so my other question I have for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I take things personally.
Mm-hmm.
And there's several cases that Drew Holiday would have been the MVP in other years.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
Jaylen Brown, probably the right answer, 7 votes. But there were 11 people voting. How does Jason Tatum, 1, get 4 votes? And if you're Doris Burke, who we're all proud of, great achievement, but the big complaint against you is you love Jason Tatum as if he was your own flesh and blood. How do you vote for Jason Tatum for the MVP?
So I didn't even think
knowing
it was
you'll
much
get made
of a
fun
debate.
of. I think she just threw him a vote knowing he wouldn't win, but because she has to keep up with the rhetoric that she's the big Jason Tatum, I think she was in on it.
So I think the debate, it shouldn't have been a debate. It was going to be Jaylen Brown. After what he did down the stretch in Game 3 when they were about to blow that game, that won in the MVP. After Game 1, though, the answer, or Game 2, after Game 2, the answer was Drew Holiday. But, defense just doesn't usually win you an MVP award, but because it's just not sexy. But what Drew Holiday did from a defensive standpoint, along with Jaylen Brown and Derek White, was phenomenal in that series.
Yeah, and I can't believe that the team that traded him to Boston is getting no.
You're so sensitive.
Heat.
You are so sensitive.
Everybody looks at like the
Bucks
Bucks game to Boston. They did not, and they didn't play in the playoffs.
And you know what? Looking back at
Porzingis got traded to another team and then to the team that beat the team. Where's the heat there?
Even still, though, I understand we all look at this in from the last year. The Bucks were right to go trade for Damian Lillard. They traded Drew Holiday to the Trailblazers, and the Celtics did a magnificent job right when the Bucks started to take the baton and taking that baton right back and getting Drew Holiday, because he was enormous to that team's championship this year. There's no doubt about it.
I think he should have been the MVP.
No, it should have been Jaylen Brown, but that's okay. Anyway, I hope my energy was good enough for you. I know that people
I'm
always
glad
tell
you
me I
talked
need more
about
energy.
TV for 5 minutes before you finally got to me. That was good use of your time.
All righty, let's get Bart off the show. Kick him off the show. Get him out of here. Sick and tired of this guy. Jeez. I've always been a good friend to Bart Winkler. Always been his biggest supporter. When he was out of a job, I let him fill in for me. And now this guy wants to just take a baseball bat and smack me in the cabeza? Oh, next week, I may just take off for this segment. I may have Samter host the show. Let him deal with Bart and his antics. Coming on back. Bring Chet back on that show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, rocking and rolling. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. So I thought all was supposed to be well in Steeler land, where this is going to be the great quarterback room, and if Russell Wilson doesn't have great success, then it's going to be Justin Fields. And I think Russell Wilson could still be a good quarterback. I did not say very good. I did not say great. I still think he could be a good quarterback in this league. He's in a good situation. But part of me does say, I know what Russell Wilson is at this point of his career, and I don't think Russell Wilson will ever get back to the old Russell Wilson. So do I think the Steelers win a Super Bowl with Russ? No. So a lot of me is just saying, kind of rather see Justin Fields play. Now, I'm fully cognizant that I would be stunned and absolutely shocked if Russell Wilson isn't starting week 1 and he'll get the first crack at it. And I don't know if he'll ever get to a point where he's bad enough where they're like, okay, we're going to yank you off the field. But I am curious of what Justin Fields can do in a better organization. Like Caleb Williams right now is in a better spot than Justin Fields. Caleb Williams is more talented than Justin Fields. But you look at the team that the Bears have been putting out there on the offensive side of the ball. When you have those 3 wide receivers, I know George Pickens is a good young up-and-coming wide receiver in this league. And you have Najee Harris, you have Jalen Warren, but I think there's just more offensive weapons that the Bears have than the Steelers. But Fields never got put on the field with what Caleb Williams is getting. And now you go to Pittsburgh, where Pittsburgh, even when they're not a good team, they still find a way to go 9-8 or 10-7, whatever the records are now, with the extra game that does get added in. But I guess we have reached a time in June when the June swoon starts to happen, and you start to get everyone analyzing men in shorts and a T-shirt throwing a football around, and you have all these nerds that are like, oh, covering the team, I got to write something, so these are the completion percentages in practice. And I've always said, I don't really care for training camp reports or mini camp reports. You know, health I do care about, but in terms of whose stock is booming and whose stock is dooming, because it's practice. You go to practice, you're going to make mistakes. Some people don't always go all out at practice, and the goal of practice is to get better. Now, sometimes on the great teams, the practices could be better than the games, and even when you're not at your best because of the great competition between the offense and the defense, it brings out a great product on the field. But there are a lot of times where people are working on things in practice to get better, and you don't see the best version of themselves. Now, I don't think Justin Fields is in that position. Like, yeah, he could work on getting better, but Justin Fields can't dog, and Russell Wilson can't dog this competition, even though I think it's going to be Russell Wilson who wins the job, because you're the quarterback position, right? This isn't like offensive line, wide receiver, cornerback. This is the most important position on the team. But Samter, you're telling me, I think you got the report right there, that Justin Fields, it's not all rainbows and show ponies now out with the Steelers so far in the early reviews of Justin Fields.
Yeah, and we heard Louis Riddick say that the Steelers are enamored with his athleticism, but we're starting to hear other stuff about the other aspects of his game, and this is coming from Ray Fittipaldi. He said, Fields, from what I've seen, they had a month of spring practices, and he's a terrific athlete, which is what we've known about him all along. But really, the knocks against him that I heard coming in actually turned out to be true. He's not terribly accurate with the ball. His placement isn't all that great. And I could see them maybe having a package or two for him each week, depending on the opponent. But I see this team as Russell Wilson's team. So all the things that we've always heard about Justin Fields, he's super athletic. He's incredibly talented, but he might not be a great quarterback. It all seems to be kind of the same thing in Pittsburgh. And maybe Justin Fields will always just be that guy who can run with the ball and make some plays here or there, but he's never going to be a true winning starting quarterback in the NFL.
Can I be honest?
No.
I'm going to be anyway. I'm always honest.
All right, fine.
Unless I'm lying, then I'm not honest. But am I supposed to take this serious? Like, why should I take this report analysis from who's the reporter again?
Ray Fittipaldo.
Why do I need to take this seriously? It's so early. Like, I'm going to give you a level take here and ask you a level question here. Can you really make a fair assessment of Justin Fields this early on in the process? Or as I say in hockey, the process?
After 3 years in the NFL plus some time,
that's different.
You can't make a full judgment based off of a few
I'm
practices.
talking about with this time with the Steelers so far.
No, but when you see his time with the Steelers matches up with his first 3 years, then you start to say, okay, well, maybe those first 3 years weren't just about the Bears. Mm-hmm. It might just also be about Justin Fields.
Now, I'm not saying that Fields is going to go on to be great. But what I'm saying is anything that this reporter's been able to see at practice on the limited times that they've been made available, I don't think you could accurately draw this great opinion on Justin Fields. Now, there's a perception. You've heard about Justin Fields, and so far he has not fulfilled what people thought he was going to be as a pro quarterback. And the debate is that more on Justin Fields or do you blame it more on the Bears? But is he really set up to be the guy in Pittsburgh? Like, he could be the guy if Russell Wilson fails, but I've been saying this from the jump. There's no way Russell Wilson, who is signed with the Steelers for like $1.5 million, is not going to be starting come week one, even when I know the number is incredibly small, but because of the contract he had, just based off reputation and what he was in this league, he's going to get the first crack at this. And this is the problem with the Steelers. The Steelers are so far away from being that team where it was legitimately Super Bowl or bust for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're so far away from that, where that's the standard, when even when they're bad, they're still like an above average good team. You know, they didn't have this incredible season last year. They still made the playoffs. You know, Mike Tomlin's never had a season below 500. And this is an organization, as great as they once were, this is an organization that haven't won a playoff game since the 2016 season. That's a long time in the NFL. So, is it ever going to get to a point where Fields gets, even though he's in a better situation now than he was in Chicago in his career, but he's the backup? Is there ever going to be a point outside of injury where they say, and remember, Justin Fields' contract is done at the end of the year. They didn't pick up his fifth-year option, nor should they have. But is there ever a point where there's going to be a legitimate conversation that leads to action where Fields gets on the field and replaces Russell Wilson?
Yes. If Justin Fields is better than Russell Wilson, then you put him on the field. This is a team that's built to win now. This isn't a team that young talent,
But is he going to be able to be better than Russell Wilson in training camp, when now the way that it's designed, it's not like what training camp used to be, these mini camps, all this stuff. Like, Russell Wilson has a giant head start in this competition because he's actually been a starting quarterback in the league since 2012. And I know the great irony here is Matt Flynn got the money, and then he beat out Matt Flynn to be the starter in Seattle. But we're talking about something from 2012. Russell Wilson, even after getting publicly shamed the last 2 years, and deservedly so, still walks into that building for a team that hasn't had a quarterback since Big Ben. And it's kind of like what you've seen with the Commanders, where, remember when the Commanders, they got Carson Wentz. Everyone knew Carson Wentz sucked. But the Commanders' standard was so low for quarterbacks for a while. When you bring in like Carson Wentz, they're like, oh, well, he had this moment and that moment, so maybe he could do that with us. And that's what they're kind of doing with Russell Wilson. Like, Russell Wilson doesn't suck. He is an average quarterback now. But he has so much of a head start over Justin Fields. What is Justin Fields really going to be able to show in the next month, 2 months, that's going to make him drastically better than Russell Wilson, which moves him in front of Russell Wilson? You're doing a 100-yard race right now. And at the goal line, at the end zone where you finished a 100-yard race, that's who gets the job. I would say when you start this competition, Justin Fields is sitting at his own 10-yard line, and Russell Wilson is already on the other team's 25-yard line. Like, they say this is a competition. I really don't think it's that much of a competition. Russell Wilson has a gigantic head start. And even though he's taken a big step back, there's nothing Fields is going to be able to do unless Russell Wilson gets hurt, where Russell Wilson can't go complete that final 25, 30 yards.
I mean, he has a head start because he has 10 extra years in the league, but his last 3 years, he's 17-27 as a starting quarterback, right? He's thrown an average of 3,000 yards a season. If you look at their seasons last year, was Justin Fields better or worse than Russell Wilson as a starting quarterback?
Last year,
Justin Fields.
I'd rather have Russell Wilson.
He went. Justin Fields went 5-8, 2,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, 9 picks. Ran for another.
I'd rather have Russell Wilson
Ran for another 700 yards.
I don't care what the stats are. And Russell Wilson, I could give you what he had in 15 games. He was 7-8. He had completed 66% of his passes, had 3,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. Russell Wilson was also playing for a coach that hated his guts and didn't want him on the field, and said if you didn't take this clause out of the contract, he was willing to bench him. Like, so.
And Justin Fields was playing for a team who knew they were going to have the number 1 overall pick and take Caleb Williams.
But there was a moment, though, where people thought Justin Fields, there was like a 3-4 week stretch where the national tone was the Bears should trade that pick and they should keep Justin Fields. But Justin Fields didn't do enough to continue that feeling to carry over. Well, you would rather have last year, for one season last year, you'd rather have Justin Fields over Russell Wilson?
It's close enough that if they go into camp and Justin Fields outplays Russell Wilson, then yes, I would take Justin Fields over Russell Wilson because he's younger, has more promise, and he's more athletic, and you could do more with him.
But here's what I'm saying. He is not going to be able to outplay him by a wide enough margin when Russell Wilson has the reputation, even though it's taken a hit the last few years, where as long as Russell Wilson's healthy, there's no way he's not starting week 1. There's no way.
I guess my point is, as long as Justin Fields is outplaying him by 1%, then he should have a chance to start. He doesn't. I don't think he has to.
That's not how it always works, though. You know that,
right? But I guess my point is, Russell Wilson 5 years ago, sure, Super Bowl caliber quarterback, top MVP conversation kind of guy. The last 3 or 4 years, he hasn't been that guy, and therefore, yes,
and
his
he's still better than
precedes
anything
him.
Justin Fields has been able to do in the league.
Justin Fields ran for 1,000 yards twice in his career. That's pretty darn impressive.
As a quarterback, not just running the ball. I'm talking about when you factor in throwing the football too. This idea of Justin Fields, we sell ourselves on the idea of Justin Fields, and I think if Justin Fields went to a better spot, his career maybe could be a different story. But eventually, you have to show us on the field. That's what you need to show us. And what I'm saying is, because of how much of an advantage Russell Wilson already has, I don't think there's anything that's going to happen this summer outside of injury where the Steelers would be like, okay, we're not going to start Russell Wilson. Now, and I can understand, you can tell me, oh, he only makes like $1.5 million, and what loyalty do you have, and all that stuff. And I get it. I totally get it. But when they get on the field for week 1 up against the Atlanta Falcons, going up against, with Arthur Smith as the offensive coordinator, walking into a place where he used to be the head coach, I would be shocked if Russell Wilson isn't starting. And also, it would suck if it is Justin Fields. Here's why. They play week 2? They play Denver. And you at least got to give me Russell Wilson for the first 2 weeks of the season.
I'll give you Russell for the first 2 weeks because I would love to see Peyton and Russ. But here's
one
the
more
question.
thing. Just one more thing. And you guys have a question. Will it ever get to a point where the Steelers are bad enough that once they decide it is Russell Wilson, that Russ gets taken off the field? And before you say yes, let me just give you their schedule. Falcons, Denver, Chargers, Colts, Cowboys, Raiders, Jets, Giants, Commanders. That's the first 10 weeks of the season. The first 10 weeks of the season, the Falcons are a solid team. Denver stinks. The Chargers, they have Harbaugh and Herbert. The Colts are solid. Cowboys, good, not great. Raiders stink. Jets are going to be good. The Giants stink. Then you play a bye week. You have a bye week, and then it's the Commanders. Ravens, all right, good opponent. Browns, good opponent division. Bengals, good opponent division. Cleveland, Eagles, Baltimore, Kansas City, Cincinnati. In the second half, maybe. Maybe in the second half, you could see Justin Fields get on the field if they don't play very well in the first 8 games of the season. But look at the difference from the first half to the second half. Like, if Russell Wilson can't maintain the job the first 8 weeks of the season, when your toughest games are the Jets, the Colts, and let's say the Cowboys, then you don't deserve to be a starter in the league anymore. But I just don't know if it ever gets to a point where it's that bad and they're out of it, where they're like, okay, let's make a quarterback change.
The only way they're that bad is if Russell Wilson is that bad, because that team is too talented for them to be that bad. They're going to be in every game. TJ Watt gets hurt again, then maybe that changes things. But the only way really that they're that bad is, barring injury, is if Russell Wilson is terrible, and therefore, then it's Justin Fields.
Take injury out of it.
Right.
I don't think you would see Justin Fields until December.
Well, so here's the question then for you.
Unless, like, you have trick plays and things like that. But give me the question.
So do you think – so when you say you don't see a way that it happens, are you saying that this is what you would do or what you think the Steelers would do? Like, for me –
Oh, okay. That's a different question. Right? I'm saying what I think the Steelers will do.
Okay. So if you were running the Steelers and Justin Fields was neck and neck or even slightly better than Russell Wilson in practice, who are you starting?
Neck and neck, I go with Russell Wilson. If Justin Fields is slightly better, then I agree with you. Then I would go with Justin Fields. But I don't think that's what the Steelers will do.
Okay, so then I agree with you, because I was stating it based off of what I think they should do, not based off of what they actually will do. I agree with you that that's probably what they will do, but not what they should do.
And that's what my bigger gripe is. You already get these negative reports about Justin Fields, right? And then you have other people that have positive reports. I think a lot of this is just BS. I do. I can't tell you how many times I was at the NovaCare complex and you hear about this one guy on the Eagles each and every. There's always a breakout training camp star, and 9 times out of 10 they amount to nothing. So, like, what the media is seeing as well, you don't know what they're asking Justin Fields to do. You don't know if they're like saying, "Oh, work on this," or do something like that, do something specific. It's practice. You know, I think the joint practices are big. I don't know if the Steelers how many joint practices they have, but is there going to be something in the preseason where people are like, "Wow, Justin Fields is doing this so great," or Russell Wilson's doing this so great, that's going to make me say that the Steelers are probably not going to start Russell Wilson week 1? I just personally can't envision that right now, outside of injury. It is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will debut a new segment next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The fun continues on the Infinity Sports Network.
So just getting back real quickly before we debut this new segment, it is the Zach Gelb Show. From what we were talking about the Steelers in the last segment. So Ray Fittipaldo, did I say that close enough? I think I said that fine. The quote was, Fields, from what I've seen, they've had a month of spring practice and he's a terrific athlete, but really the knocks against him that I heard coming in actually turned out to be true. He's not terribly accurate with the ball. His placement isn't all that great, and I could see them maybe having a package or two for him each week, depending on the opponent, but I see this as Russell Wilson's team. So it's kind of like what Ray's saying, Samter, is Justin Fields hasn't been great. He hasn't been horrible. He's been fine is the way that I take it, and there's some good and there's some bad. Now, Omar Khan, who is the Steelers general manager, he said, if you would have told me that we'd be sitting here with Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, and Kyle Allen. Throw Kyle Allen in there. That's funny. 5 months ago, I wouldn't have believed it, Khan said. We really like Justin coming out of college. He had an up-and-down situation in Chicago, and the opportunity was there to get him, and I'm excited. He's really looked awesome. He's a great individual, too, and I didn't know him personally until he got here. What a special person he is. Not going to lie, when your GM is talking about how special of a person someone is, it doesn't give the greatest ringing endorsement about his ability on the field. Now, he just said he's really looked awesome. And then it was a bunch of other stuff. Now, once again, I don't think there's really a fair assessment to make up until this point. But it's funny to me how Ray was kind of how I think this is going to be, where it's going to be Russell Wilson's team. Russell Wilson's going to be the starting quarterback. There's been some good, there's been some bad with Justin Fields. And Omar Khan's like, everyone in the room sensational. Is there any part that you don't like with your football team? Will he ever say anything critical about his football team? With the guys that are actually there, that's my question. So that's where we are after that conversation. All right, we got a new segment to debut. Ryan Botcher, take it away.
Fire up The Time Machine.
I don't believe what I just saw.
We take a look back at the biggest moments in history on another edition of This Week in Sports on the Zach Gelb Show.
I don't know. I feel like I should be in like England right now with some tea and some biscuits or some scones. That's how I feel after hearing that.
I feel like it's a 1920s broadcast, like a breaking news.
You'd be a good paper boy, I would say.
Yeah, extra, extra. Read all about it.
So, Santa, explain the segment and tell me what we're going to do here, my friend.
So every week for the next few months, especially over the summer, we're going to look back on some of the crazy moments that happened during that week. And it is fitting that we started with this week because on Monday, that was June 17th. And 30 years ago on Monday, June 17th, 1994, may have been the craziest day in the history of sports. If you break it down from hour to hour, moment to moment, and all of the historic things that happened, it started out at 9:07 a.m. when Arnold Palmer teed off at his final U.S. Open. In his career, he broke down crying at the end of his round. One of the greatest, if not the greatest golfer of all time, Arnold Palmer, his final U.S. Open. 10:17, an hour later in the morning, the Rangers held their Stanley Cup championship parade rolling through the streets of New York City. It was the first championship parade in New York in years. Obviously, the Mets won in '86, but outside of that, the Yankees hadn't won yet. The Knicks obviously hadn't won anything yet. And the Rangers Stanley Cup parade was epic, and it was fantastic. The images of Messier holding up the cup going down in Wall Street were historic.
Were you there?
I was not there, but I should have been there because it was just amazing.
Okay.
Then at 11 o'clock in the morning Eastern time is when things started getting a little hairy. Murder charges were filed against O.J. Simpson, and a ball of yarn that started to unravel for the Juice Man started getting thinner and thinner. At 3 p.m., the United States hosted its first ever World Cup match. The 94 World Cup was in the U.S. for the first time ever. We saw Germany and Bolivia play in that first match. 5 o'clock p.m., the LAPD had a press conference. 8 o'clock, Ken Griffey Jr. Tied Babe Ruth with 30 home runs before June 30th. Also a record tying the Babe. Then it all went to heck. At 9 o'clock, 8:56 p.m. Eastern, this unfolded on live television.
I'm going to have to interrupt this call. I understand we're going to go to a live picture in Los Angeles. This is Interstate 5, and this is courtesy of KCALR, one of our L.A. affiliates. Police believe that O.J. Simpson is in that car. They're going south through Orange County, but nobody is pulling this car over. And we could only guess as to why not.
Right, I guess they're just being
careful. They may fear that there are arms in that car. They may fear that Simpson may harm himself. Now, police radio is saying that Simpson has a gun at his head. This is living drama. There's nothing else you can say, but one of the icons of American sports history, O.J. Simpson, on this tragic June day.
It is an amazing sight. Along the right-hand shoulder, people have pulled over, many of them carrying signs such as signs reading things like "Save the Juice," "Go OJ." People are literally cheering him on as he travels northbound on the 405, and we can only assume that he plans to get off at sunset and go towards perhaps his home.
We have found him. The door is opening, and let's see what happens now. We'll watch with you.
Okay, someone just got out of the vehicle, approaching the front door, dressed in black, and entered. Looks like they entered the front of the house there. Possibly O.J. Simpson.
Minutes after this started, and as it was happening over the course of hours, Game 5 of Knicks Rockets. NBA Finals started beginning, and if you remember watching that game, they kept breaking in with live footage, and people were getting upset because they were missing the game. But of course, a historic moment with O.J. you could not skip. Maybe the craziest day in sports history, June 17th, 1994.
By the way, so I know, right, reading about it and following it, how split people were on everything that happens with OJ. Seeing Ryan Botcher's face, the moment when you heard the news announcers say on the reports, people were chanting, "Go, OJ, go," like he was running a touchdown with the white Bronco chase. Ryan Botcher, knowing who O.J. Simpson was all these years later, you would have thought that he saw a ghost. But yeah, that was a lot of people were split in their support. And then also, obviously, being on the right side of history, being against O.J. Simpson. And sources actually tell me that Michael Samter used to have like a free O.J. shirt. Was that right?
I had a not guilty O.J. shirt. I was 14 and sports ruled my life. Facts of a murder trial did not matter to me. As I look back and I start to see the facts, it's clear that I was a little bit naive at the time. But I did have an OJ not guilty shirt that I wore almost every day.
Not that I'm a decrepit old man, but Botcher's looking at me since Botcher's 22, and he's like, who is this sicko that I'm sitting next to working with?
I was 14 and a sports fan. I didn't care about real life.
Every day, or hypothetically every day?
Well, so as the trial was going on, you weren't alive for this, but it was the biggest thing in the world. It didn't matter any kind of sport because it was sports and world. It was everything. Then you had Robert Kardashian. This is how the Kardashians broke onto the scene because Robert Kardashian was OJ's best friend and he became part of the lawyer. And then you had obviously Johnny Cochran. And if the glove does not fit, you must acquit. It was the biggest thing that's ever happened in our country. Like from a media standpoint, nothing has ever come close to this. And so, yeah, like wearing that shirt, I would wear.
Kato Kaelin, too.
Kato Kaelin. I mean, all the celebrities that were involved.
People involved in this.
Yeah, and the guy who was driving the car was A.C. Cowlings, who was a USC star also. Like, everything had some sort of specialty to it. It was absolutely incredible. And I wouldn't say, like, I would wear it when it was dirty, but I would wear it maybe 2 days in a row, then wash it, then wear it another day. I wore this shirt all the time until the point that it was worn out and I had to throw it away.
Okay, so now take us home here. Samter, where do we go from here?
So the question really is, with obviously the OJ thing, Botcher wasn't alive for it. You obviously were not really around for this whole thing either. So
but
the
unlike
question
Botcher, I'm an Air United student. I come prepared.
In your lifetime, what is the craziest sports moment that you remember? The craziest sports story, the most wild, insane thing that you've witnessed in the sports world in your lifetime?
Okay, and we can fade out the music here too. Thank you very much. It's actually one that I was somewhat a part of. And I didn't know this was going to happen. I thought there was maybe a chance I could be in it. But when they did I think it's a Netflix Untold Stories is the name of the series, the documentary. I was in the Manti Te'o documentary. And that was one of the craziest things I've ever been a part of. I was in college. And, right, you hear this story, Manti Te'o, right, within, I think it was the span of like 24 to 48 hours, his girlfriend, alleged girlfriend, passed away, and his grandmother passed away. Now, his grandmother actually did pass away, but it was like this big story, and everyone was like, oh, here you have this linebacker at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is back. They have this great team, and everyone just felt like they wanted to just support and love on Manti Te'o. And this season goes on, and he's a finalist for the Heisman Trophy. And the Friday before they announce the Heisman, they do a media availability in New York. So Johnny Manziel ends up winning the Heisman's there, and Manti Te'o's there. So I am sitting next to Manti Te'o at the media availability. And for some reason, when you go to the Heisman media availability on that Friday, there's a lot of media there, but a lot of these media members don't like to ask questions. So I basically had like a one-on-one with Johnny Manziel. And you could see like a picture. It's me and like 40 reporters. And I basically had like a one-on-one with Manti Te'o. And I have like 7 or 8 minutes of audio where I'm asking him. I think one of the questions was, Manti, you're young, but clearly you're resilient. Your girlfriend dies. Your grandmother dies. Like, how did you keep on playing? A lot of people would have just took the season off. And that was actually shown in the documentary. So for people, and I think everyone knows the story now, this goes on. They make it to the national championship game, right? He's a Heisman finalist, all that stuff. They get blown out by Alabama, and it comes out that it was a catfish. And the star linebacker of Notre Dame, who, if he wanted to, probably could have slept with any girl on Notre Dame's campus, had this relationship and got catfished with someone that he never met. Never met. So that, to me, is the most unbelievable sports story that I kind of was a part of. There's others that have happened, but since, obviously I wasn't covering Notre Dame religiously and, I wasn't there daily, but being in that documentary, that was crazy. I can't tell you how many people that I haven't talked to in years in that documentary, they're like, wow, you were in it. Look how young you were. And things like that. Like, I can't believe that you asked that question to Manti Te'o back when you were in college. But that to me today is one of the more surreal things ever, because it's just one of those moments where it's like you're the star linebacker of Notre Dame, right? And you had a fake girlfriend that duped you, and you thought she passed away. She didn't, and you find out that she existed, and he had to go through the whole season with that weight on his shoulder because, right, like who's going to admit that publicly? So that's my answer there. Now, go ahead, Samter.
So I was deciding between a couple of them. The first one that came to my mind was Malice in the Palace.
Yeah.
That was so nuts, and like we've never really seen like an actual full-out brawl that canceled the game. But that was absolutely nuts. The Michael Jordan retiring and playing baseball was really interesting. But the one I'm going to have to go with, I went with this one back in the day. I think we were talking about something similar. But to me, the craziest sports story I've ever been a part of or ever witnessed was the Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding, why? And the fact that Nancy Kerrigan, won silver by 0.01 points against Oksana Bayul and almost won gold. And Tanya Harding cried. And now there's like this Oscar
you are like
movie
what
about
Boyle
it.
is to tennis. That's you in the figure skating world.
I know nothing about figure skating, but how you don't remember Oksana Bayul and Nancy Kerrigan, winning silver, and Tanya Harding, her skate breaks in the middle of her routine. She's crying as she's fixing the skate, and Jeff Gillooly and the whole crew of people who were involved in shattering Nancy Kerrigan's kneecap. That to me was the most insane story I can remember.
Botcher, what's yours? I'll put you on the microphone here. What do we got?
Aaron Hernandez.
See,
because that's my OJ.
Now I will. It's a funny way to say it, but I get what you're saying. I was going to say right before Samter, because Samter always gives you these lists. He always gives you a bunch of different answers, which I appreciate before he zeroes in on his one. I was about to say the other one I was thinking about was Aaron Hernandez, but since I played somewhat of a role, not in the catfishing, but on the Manti Te'o story, I figured I would tell that. But go ahead. The Hernandez thing really speaks for itself, but it's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
It was just the fact that I was a young fan, too. I was really starting to get into football, and then out of nowhere, it broke that a football player, a star player in Aaron Hernandez with the Patriots, like, he murdered someone. And
Multiple.
Yeah. And at that point, I was, like, not smart enough to, like, be calm. I was starting to think, how many people did he actually kill? Is there a serial killer in the NFL? Just all of that stuff that went down with Aaron Hernandez, and then his eventual passing and all that. Just the whole storyline and how none of his teammates really knew.
Yeah.
It was just very...
I don't think I went from loving an athlete more to hating an athlete more overnight than Aaron Hernandez. Like, I remember being at the Super Bowl, Patriots and Giants, the second one, and he scored a touchdown, and he would do, like, this celebration, and I was doing the celebration in the stands. And I loved Aaron Hernandez, and then I couldn't stand. Like, when he passed away, people were like, oh, have some sympathy for people. I'm like, what? Like, this guy is not going to heaven. Hate to break that to you, to people. But I'll never forget, I was at a sleepaway camp, and we were on a trip, and we got the notification, because there was like a story that was talked about that, investigation linking him. And when he got arrested, and his arms are inside the shirt, right, cuffed, and he has that white T-shirt on, that was one of the more surreal days. Wild.
And the crazy thing for me was I hated Aaron Hernandez well before any of this stuff came out, because I was in a fantasy football league championship game. I had Gronk. He had Aaron Hernandez. And this was a year that Gronk had crushed Hernandez with everything. Mm-hmm. And I lost by like 7 points because Hernandez had like a 2-touchdown, 120-yard game. So I was like guaranteed to win. I was like favored to win by like 30 points.
So he cost you a fantasy championship?
And Aaron freaking Hernandez outplayed Gronk on the Patriots for one game out of the entire year and cost me my championship and like $1,000.
You're actually lucky that you didn't like publicly complain about that. You may not be around anymore if you were publicly complaining or tweeting at Aaron Hernandez. Now, someone did chime in on the YouTube chat when Leonard Toast was going to move the Eagles to Arizona in the middle of the night. That is actually relates back to the Zach Gelb Show here on the Infinity Sports Network. My father was a producer at the time at WCAU Radio in Philadelphia, and one of his good friends was a big player out in Arizona. And he said, they got news that Leonard Tost, it wasn't reported yet, was trying to move the Eagles. So my dad called his friend, and he said, if you were the owner of the Eagles and you're trying to move the team to Arizona, what hotel are you staying at? And like back then, you didn't have like aliases and things like that. Like you actually put your name down at the hotel. So my dad called the hotel and, like to get connected to Leonard Tost's room. Sure, no problem. They, ring, picks up. He goes, Mr. Tost, it's Bob Gelb here, WCAU Radio in Philadelphia. We want to confirm that you're in Arizona trying to sell the Philadelphia Eagles, move the Philadelphia Eagles to Arizona. And he goes, Bob, get the F off my phone line. Obviously said the word. I can't say it on the radio. And then my dad got back on the air and reported that I think it was with Don Henderson was the host, that the Eagles that Leonard Tost was trying to move the Eagles to Philadelphia. So to respond to the YouTube commenter that said, what about Leonard Tost? There's the story, including, my father. I guess that would be his. Except my dad has covered some crazy stories. He's broken some crazy, crazy stories back in the day when he was a producer at WCAU and then also WFAN in New York. All righty, we will take a timeout. Fun, good start to that segment. You definitely hit us with the heavy stuff right out of the gate, Samter. You didn't get like a soft landing ground to start things up. You go right to one of the craziest days in the history of sport. But here's a big hockey fan who's going to give us our latest update. You've been reporting in the updates all throughout the day.
No. I did it once.
The Stanley Cup Final Game 6 is tonight?
I don't know why.
Game 5 was last night.
Yes, I'm well aware.
Okay.
I don't know why. When I was previewing the game coming up on Friday, and I was going to use sound from Matthew Tkachuk, and for whatever reason, I wrote out tonight, and then Anchorman, like Ron Burgundy and Anchorman, I read what was on the screen.
No, that's fine. So it's all right. Everyone makes mistakes. I've made mistakes in my career.
Hey, get your shots
on the national
in.
airwaves
Get them in.
I'm a big hockey guy. I'm Pat Boyle. How you doing? All righty. The Stanley Cup Finals tonight. I'm going to be good at home tonight. I'm going to be trying to tune into see Sean McDonough call the game. Not going to be there until Friday, big boy.
Get them in.
All righty. Here he is, Patty Boyle.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
All right, Zach, just one more afternoon baseball game to finish off before the night slate. All of Major League Baseball honoring Willie Mays with a moment of silence at the ballpark today. The Say Hey Kid passed away last night at 93. The Nationals lead the D-backs 2-1 in the top of the 7th. Earlier today, some of the notable results. Braves shut out the Tigers 7-0. Marlins walk off the Cardinals again 4-3. Padres beat the Phillies 5-2. The Pistons have fired head coach Monty Williams after just one season. One of the youngest teams in the league, and certainly amidst a rebuild, Detroit had the worst record in the league, finishing 14-68. Monty Williams had 5 years left on his massive contract. The Pistons owe him more than $65 million. Meanwhile, multiple reports state the Indiana Pacers will be locking up All-NBA forward Pascal Siakam, signing him to a 4-year max contract extension worth just under $190 million. WNBA LA Sparks standout rookie Cameron Brink suffered a torn ACL in last night's game against the Connecticut Sun. And at the European Championships, host Germany continued to roll. 2-0 winners over Hungary guarantees their progression into the round of 16. Switzerland and Scotland finished 1-1. I'm Pat Boyle.
Hey, like us on Facebook. Our handle is INF Sportsnet. That's INF Sportsnet for our Facebook page. This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Alrighty, real quickly, news brief time. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Let's just dedicate the news brief to the life of Willie Mays, who unfortunately passed away yesterday at the age of 93. What a tremendous life he did live. And when you pass away at the age of 93, it is something to celebrate all the great moments that he provided. We know not only on the diamond, but off the diamond, who Willie Mays was and will always be remembered. But just from a stat standpoint, a 24-time All-Star, 660 home runs, a 301 career average, 12-time Gold Glove winner, 4 times led the NL in stolen bases, 1954 batting champion, also 1954 won the World Series, a 2-time MVP, and the Rookie of the Year. He's one of the greatest players to ever participate in baseball. Let's play, obviously, the legendary World Series catch, and I was watching a Sports Science from many years ago that they did on this on ESPN. He ran 90 feet, and he also ran at 14 miles per hour to track down this ball and make this catch in the 1954 World Series.
There's a long drive way back in center field, way back, it is. Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch, which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
And obviously, that moment is just replayed throughout the years and decades and decades and decades. And it's one of the more iconic moments in the history of baseball. So rest in peace to Willie Mays, and my condolences to all of his fans and obviously his family members and friends. Did you, by the way, catch Steve Levy last night? Steve Levy, you have to announce that Willie Mays has passed away even when you're hosting the studio coverage of the Stanley Cup Final. Steve Levy goes, Willie Mays has passed away at the age of 93. Gone way too soon. 93 years old. Gone way too soon. What are we doing? What are we doing, Samter?
You know what, though? I mean,
He's
anytime an
93.
icon, it doesn't matter. He could be 170. Anytime an icon
Gone
goes
way
away.
too soon? Like, if he was 43, sure. 93? That's a heck. I would sign for 93 years right now.
Sure. I think it's just a commentary of respect that when you have that legendary of a life and a career and you're that iconic of a human being, that anytime you pass away, it's too soon.
I think Steve Levy went to break and he was like, did I just gone way too soon? I really do. I think that just in the moment, even though he's 93, it's like still shocking, right? Because of the name of who it is in Willie Mays. And those moments are like always uncomfortable when you have to talk about death on air and things like that. And people may have found out about that for the first time on that broadcast. You know, I know most people are glued to their phones anyway. But I think that's just one of those moments. It's okay, away from the script of what they're doing. And he was like ad-libbing, and it was just obviously gone way too soon. I don't know. When you pass away at 93, my hat's off to you and a heck of a life by the late, great Willie Mays. It's time to answer Ask the Pros question of the day, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. You can submit a question by tweeting at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. And our question today comes from Alejandro in Boca. Zach, do you think the Florida Panthers are going to find a way to win the Stanley Cup Final on Friday night? I don't. I think this is going 7. Now, I think everyone's going to think this is going 7 after what we just saw in Game 5 when it was 3-0, then 3-1. Edmonton blows them out in Game 4. Then you go back to Florida for Game 5, and you had the Panthers be down 3-0 early in that game. So I think with this series going back to Edmonton for Game 6, Edmonton finds a way to get it done, and then who knows what's going to happen in a Game 7. I want on Monday, though, a Game 7. What Connor McDavid has done in the last 2 games in 2 Cup final games, right? So in a 2-game stretch, he has the most points that a player has ever had in just a 2-game stretch. 8 points in the last 2 games and securing 2 big victories to keep that season going. And I would like to see Game 6, even if the Oiler girl is in attendance or not. I would like to see 2 big things in that game. Take that for how you want to believe it, but I'm, of course, talking about the Oilers win and then Connor McDavid have a big performance. Anyway, that will conclude the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Rest in peace, Willie Mays passed away yesterday at the age of 93. Big thanks to Steve Schirripa for joining us in studio with his dog, Willie. And also big thanks to Bart Winkler as well. We'll be back tomorrow, final show of the week for yours truly. I am off on Friday, but we'll be back on a Thursday edition of the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network right at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Botcher, thank you. Samter, thank you. Boyle, thank you. Each and every one of you, thank you. We'll talk to you mañana, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.
You're in a 5-minute break.